So I have some sheets that I can share that I'm using for fusion at least. For healer PRIO. I don't know if I can share the physical and the caster ones. The healer one I'll definitely share. But I want to do... I just kind of want to go through everything and just talk about where stuff should go. Where there's like a lot of debate happening, where something might be better for somebody, but depending on player over class, you go other stuff. I'm gonna turn... Oh, there is a caster with PRIO. Yep. Hello.
Hey, I had to make some coffee.
I'm gonna turn... Alright, is this working? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just turned... whatchamacallit on voice activity, so... Alright, so... Battle just sent me their caster PRIO sheet too, so Diri, I don't know if you can have access to this or not.
I don't have it, but I mean, my impression was we were just going to talk about it too.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about it.
Under no circumstances are my opinions the official fusion opinions. They're just my opinions.
They're not official. Yeah, they're informed at least.
You can just open with that.
So yeah,
just open with
all
that.
All this is going to be depending on your guild, right? Like, player over class, I think, is the headline, and then
there's some obvious stuff.
Yeah. But for the most part, like if all things were equal, we can kind of go through it and be like, this is where so this should go first. But there's a ton of data that could alter that, right? But player over class, I think, is ideal. Can you guys see my screen on Discord?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you want to just get into it? I guess you want to start Hydraul or Black Temple?
I feel like there's more in Black Temple, so like you could start Hydraul because it might be quicker. Just run through that.
Okay, cool.
Like the exciting stuff, I feel like is in BT.
You might want to do trash first, also.
That's a good idea. All right. And I'm gonna put your guys' logs in the description for the video so people can see your pumping skills. All right, let's start with trash. Nether Void Cloak. We think we saw a couple of these actually on the PCR recently.
Yeah, so on PTR, I think it was noticeable that trash drops dropped a lot, especially the recipes dropped a lot.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things are basically going to be free. This cloak in particular, I think, is basically like third bis for warlocks. It's kind of like the step up option that you can get. Oh my gosh, what a griefer.
What is this?
They updated PTR.
Already dead.
Are you on PTR?
Yeah, so I can sit.
Just do it on live.
No, it's more fun being in Illidan's room or in Black Temple.
Okay, gotcha. I was like, it doesn't matter.
Backgrounds are bis, man. Come on.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I think the cloak discussion in general is kind of like a bigger discussion for caster cloaks, right? Because there's a main caster cloak that's like second bis for everyone.
Right.
There's a healer cloak that's bis for everyone. And then there's this cloak for warlocks, which is like a step up from their phase 1, phase 2 cloaks, but like is basically third bis compared to those two.
Right.
So obviously this goes straight to warlocks and nest priests, but it's like neither of them actually want this as like an end game thing. So it's kind of like, you know, how much you want to consider whether they have this already in PRIO or not is kind of, you know.
Tooltip small. Voting. I mean, it's an upgrade over the KT cloak, right? Like.
Yeah, I believe so. For both classes.
So it's probably a good thing to give to somebody who's like got PRIO somewhere else. Because it's not this or even close to this. Final Stand. Yeah, you go shamans, and then paladins with it. If there's anybody that is a question for it, but it's shamans over paladins.
Because healers largely split into spirit versus non-spirit healers, right?
And so
Like in-
shamans and paladins are MP5, druids and priests are spirit. So it's an easy, but again, the Kiti cloak is very close. So if you have that, just give it to whoever, you know. These boots are best for priests, druids, and shamans, even with the spirit. Shamans and druids have alternatives that are leather and mail, so you give these to your priests first, and then your druids, and then your shamans. These are really, really good, though. I think they're also PvP, Arena Abyss, for regeneration, which is what you use in 2s and 3s mostly, so these are really good. You're excited if you see these. Okay, Treads of the Den Mother.
Feral boots.
I imagine it's just Feral, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you just want
Feral has like no competition for anything
Yeah,
in there.
that's an
All the
easy-
stuff's pretty straightforward.
Every
Shadow, though, well, when we get to it, we can talk more about it, but Feral's probably looking for a pair of Shadow Masters, ideally.
Yeah, but I don't think you give the Shadow Masters to Ferals first, right? Because they have these.
Yeah, just because these exist, you
Yeah.
just give them to, like, you'll see a billion more of these than you'll need.
Yeah.
Because you need like 2 of them, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, every druid will have these in, you know, a month, so. Ellie Shaman chest. Give it to your Ellie Shaman. You shouldn't have more than one. So, easy. These seem pretty good. They're not Biss, right? But they're pretty good.
I think that's what Red wants to run, right? They want to switch to the haste.
Ret, there's a lot of plate gear out of here, so yeah, I mean, I think Ret does want those. I believe that's what we have Ret down as. It's not Biss though, but a Ret will use that.
Yeah, I get the impression plate DPS are gonna have like pretty much free pick of a lot of these options, and so they'll just
There's
get
a
them
lot of
quickly,
options
and then
for
maybe
plate.
they'll slowly get something else later. But for plate, it's just you just
Yeah.
get free items.
That
Well,
would
it's
be
just a
something you
push
just
out quicker.
PRIO rate it to the Ret though.
What's the what's the one that the Warriors get?
Gloves.
Yeah, I forget what they're called. Where is
Well, they
it?
could. I mean, Warriors, like I
not
said, have a lot of
those.
options. But if they're not using their 4-piece, they want the.
Oh, that's right. They're using the 4-piece. That's right. That's right. They should be at least.
Well, they don't have to. There's Silent Justice. Go back
Yeah,
to.
where-
I think Shade drops them.
Shade.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, those
So
are pretty
that's
good.
ideally if you're not using your 4-piece, that would be the gloves you want to wear. But it all comes down. I mean, even if you're not using your 4-piece, you could still not use Cursed Visions and still wear those. So Warriors have Fury has like not 6, maybe like 4 or 5 different viable options, and a lot of the loot is uncontested, other than the Ret Pally or even the arms.
Yeah.
So like it's good to be plate in Black Temple, I think.
Yeah. The armor pen's nice on these, but I think we want to push Fury Warriors to 4-piece, right? Just for loot distribution's sake.
Well, there's even an argument of like not even pushing them to 4-piece for loot distribution and having them wear like an easy to get non 4-piece set where they run 2 pieces a tier, but they're not running helm, they're not running legs. I think
It's also about early distribution too. Like you're going to get these items, they got to go to someone, split it up to make it better.
Yep.
So,
we can talk more as we get to the bigger items.
Yeah.
Like we'll just go. Like there's a lot to consider when it comes to Furies and plate DPS. I think more than any other class.
I think I skipped to Black Temple Trash. I'm just going back to Hydral Trash. Choker. That's, I know, Hunter Biss.
Hunter Biss, Chonk Fury Warrior Biss. I think our warriors are going to want to run this. We talked about the other neck, the Endless Nightmares, and it seemed to like be a consensus. Like Serrated Blades probably be what they want. It's less DPS, but it has 37 stam, while the other one has 0 stam.
Yeah. I think we've learned over time stam is not a stat you want to ignore. You know, it's like
Not without we run, yeah. No way.
Yeah, even without World Buff, Stam is really nice. So, I mean, you can wear this and wear less shadow resist on Mother, stuff like that. You know, where if the Stam can make up for a lot of little mistakes and it adds up.
It's not a huge neck for either hunters or warriors, right? You're not seeing like 20 DPS gain. So whoever's in the raid, get it. It's a trash drop. You know, there's really hunter equals warrior. Just give it to somebody.
Sure.
Absolute BIS for hunters, second BIS technically for warriors.
Who's going first, do you think, on these, generally?
We'll probably just hit the warriors, and that's more so like reasons of warriors aren't prio'd a whole lot of contested gear, so it's like it doesn't matter too much. Give it to a warrior. Hunters, the KT neck's still really solid, so you know we can live a little bit without having serrated blades.
Okay. This seems bad.
Yep, it's bad.
Yeah, this is bad. You don't want this. I mean, maybe there's some fun to be had in Sunwell, but there's probably better alternatives by that point.
Yeah.
This is Prop Pally Mace. Nobody else wants this except for maybe the Shadow Priest, but I don't think they need spell hit, so...
Yeah, we'll probably talk more about this when we get to TOC, but obviously when this comes out, you just give it to your Prop Pally, give it to your Shadow Priest. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would also probably pry that to the Prop Pally as well, because you're going to be utilizing the shit out of them in Hydral. You just want him to have that extra boost. Especially, and there's not a lot of whole options before that. Like, if he's, he has Fang, maybe?
Yeah, this is a little bit better than Fang, right?
Yeah, small upgrade over Fang. As I said, we'll talk more about that when it comes to TOC, but yeah, this is basically like your second BIS option for a bunch of mace non-sword users.
I think you probably go Prop Eye first, then Shadow Priest, and I mean, I guess Boomkin could use it, right? But whatever.
Yeah, it's not a big item.
Yeah.
Really, who needs
I think most of our Boomkins have Nexus Key also, too. It looks cool, though, yeah. The claws, these are kind of memey.
Yeah. No,
they're fun RP items. I don't think anybody wants them, though.
If you bring in a hunter, potentially, that has no gear, you might take them.
Yeah, it's catch-up gear.
Enhance. But even still, you don't get the proc, you know, like, enhance because the offhand's fast. Probably not. Maybe if they have no gear.
There's no hit on it for a hunter, which feels bad. But you can use the stones.
But even still, like the heroic fist is better.
Right. Okay, that's trash. So
actually, you mind going back?
Sure.
I think it's actually an interesting question about Heart of Darkness. Probably something we're not going to get into so much, but there's so many crafted items that people want that your early hearts are actually going to, because they also have to go to Shadow Rescue and they also have to go to all the crafted items.
Yeah, and
your early hearts are going to be in super high demand.
Those are one of those things that you have to, you know, we loot council physical different than caster, different than tanks in a little bit. So that's something that we have to like talk about. Still hasn't been talked about, right? Like, how does that work, right? You know, like how good is that piece? Should we go to, you know, like ideally you'd go to the guy tanking Illidan Warlock, right? You'd hit him with that resist that he needs. But after that, yeah, it's really tough.
Well, it's not even just Shadow Rescue. I mean, they're kind of like, but
yeah, no, I get you. I'm just saying that would be like the first easy thing to do.
Yeah.
I feel like
are they Bob? Crafter has to actually.
They're not Bob.
Right?
No.
Oh, they're not. No. Okay. So you can. So like in
you can trash farm. We're probably gonna do a lot of trash farming, and then, I'm of the opinion that you use it on the craftables that aren't shadow resist first, because you should ideally have everybody have shadow resist for week 1 anyways. Do you know what I mean? You could, if you wanted to, sell them. That's not a terrible idea early if your guild needs gold. I don't know. There's a lot of options here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's more like we'll put them in the bank, see what we need to craft, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, if your guild's running low on shadow resist, though, and you're stuck on Mother, that's definitely the way to go for that first. I think every class has a craftable that they want, right? All the healers do, at least, that want the bracers. So
Hunters don't. Warriors might. Rets will. Enhance will.
okay,
And I don't think rogues do.
okay,
Largely all the casters will, or at least will consider one for early on, because other pieces might not be free.
sure.
But pretty much every caster will want at least one piece.
Okay. All right, moving on to Rage. This is just like there's all around. Not the most exciting boss. These first are all like side grade catch-up gear bracers. That is a side grade.
Except for these are mage best.
These are mage best. Okay.
So these basically go to mage, because I think everyone else uses Nimble Thought, the crafted ones.
Yeah.
Mages can also use Nimble Thought, but these are a small upgrade over Nimble Thought. So for single target.
Is the
So they
haste
are-
gem in?
I believe at least on PTR, the orange one and the green one are in, but not the yellow one.
The orange one's probably still worth it over anything else, right? Like,
Depends on your class.
okay.
For most casters, I think so, but mages are a little weird with haste. But yeah, Cups of Devastation should just be mage prio.
Okay.
I don't think anyone else uses them over the crafted ones.
Crafted is nice because you just don't have to worry about it. But I mean, we're gonna have a bunch of these. So, these are, I forget what these are.
These are so your warriors enhancement shamans are mostly interested in these. Both have other options. I think it's absolute bis, leather piece for a fury.
Jox is saying the male crafted ones are best for Fury.
I see that's where there's been a lot of sets. So like, if you had to give these to a person, I'd say whoever wanted them, because I think the shamans would use the crafted ones too.
Okay.
So, and then the Rets would use the crafted ones. So it's like, at this point, who does it go to? But when sets were first coming out, I think these were linked as bis for Fury / Enhance. So things change. Really, it's a nice item. And if you're picking something up, pick that up and get your crafted one later.
Yeah, I think if you're like trying to decide where it goes, give it to someone with like lower prio and some of the bigger stuff. But this seems, I mean, the hit's really nice, right? I don't know. I like it. Again, catch-up gear. All the healers except for paladins want the crafted ones, so catch-up gear. This is bad, right? There's too much int on it.
Yeah, no one really wants those.
Yeah. Catch-up gear.
Yep.
Catch-up gear again. I think shamans want the crafted one. I think this is Palibus. Nope, they're not. It's good though, catch-up gear. So, give it to whoever doesn't have it. If you have a paladin or shaman that don't have good boots, it's an easy give. These look cool. Look at those, dude. Most warriors should be using tier, so I imagine they don't want this.
No.
Give it to a prop warrior or a rep pally that might want it.
Yeah, there's no one really wants that piece. The tier for warriors is just so good.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you mentioned Stillwater. I think Stillwater actually is Rest of Shaman bis. Especially if you want male, because the only competition is Orca hide, which are leather.
My list has the trash boots bis for them, but they're cloth. So yeah, if you want to.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. But personally, I would take Stillwater as my boots of preference as a shaman if I could pick anything.
Okay, cool. I mean, it's an easy give, right? There's not a lot of competition for it, so. These are Palibus. You should only really have one Holy Pally in a raid, so that's easy. Again, I'm sure it's a side grade for Fury Warriors. I can't remember exactly what they want. What do they want, Jux?
They don't want those. They want the crafted ones. They want the like, you could use a bunch of things, and those aren't.
Okay.
The crafted ones, they're deadly cuffs.
Okay.
I think some, even eradication's pretty good. So you don't want those.
Okay.
It just kind of
Yeah, this boss's loot table kind of sucks.
Yeah, there's not much here.
This
You
is
should be happy maybe if you see deadly cuffs, but other than that, it's kind of.
You want to see 1 or 2 devastations, deadly cuffs, Stillwater. That's pretty much it, I think. The offhand is good.
Oh, that off.
Is this dagger good for anybody? I don't think it is.
No.
Yeah,
No.
it looks cool though, but
It looks
oh well.
terrible.
It looks terrible.
No, I was saying stats.
Oh.
wise.
This offhand's cool. Hit crit. I mean, what more could you ask? It's like a kind of a perfectly.
Yeah, this is the bits offhand for any one-hand casters.
Yes, you want this pretty bad.
It's like one of those things that if you get that, you know what's coming.
Yeah,
right?
you get TOC, but I would say you don't give this to anybody with a Nexus key, ideally. Like first week, right? It drops. What do you do?
I don't know. Yeah,
Everybody
I
has a
don't know.
Nexus key?
Ask your question. You prep somebody to get a TOC.
Yeah, I guess you give it to whoever is going to get TOC.
I mean, the thing is, it largely depends on, because basically you want to give this to a warlock probably, because warlocks have been using one-handers. They use the hit more efficiently. But of course, all your warlocks ones are Doom. So you basically figure out which of your warlocks aren't getting Doom, and you give this to those.
Most of our warlocks have Atiyesh. We've been asking them to run it. If you get this and you don't have a main hand that pairs with it, you still run Atiyesh until you get TOC. Atiyesh is replaced only when you get TOC. Until then, you should run Atiyesh if you're a warlock. All right, on to Anetheron.
Oh, though, actually, just on that offhand as well, a lot of this also depends on how your esprits are getting dealt loot, because if your esprits are getting Zardoom, obviously, different guilds will handle this different ways. I forget exactly how ours is, but if you're in a guild where esprits aren't getting Zardoom, then that's also a good person to give this to first, because they'll have easy one-hand options to immediately put it on. Like, for instance, the Trash Mace is pretty easy.
Sure, yeah.
They'll get TOC. The PvP weapon, I believe, is also one-hand Bis for esprits, so if your esprits are going Glad, or just glowing 1850, they can get the PvP weapon and immediately put this on, and like immediately basically have their phase Bis.
That's an easy. I mean, this is not a very exciting item, so I think you just give it to whoever it makes sense to. And if everybody is equal, you give it to whoever you're going to give TOC to. Probably, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. What you said. I like it.
Hate Fury.
I don't know anything about him. It's a dairy.
No one really wants this, I don't think.
It's ketchup gear.
I'm not as familiar with like Ellie's, and it doesn't look like an Esprit item, but
At least they're gonna want their 4-piece and use. I know they want to use the legs as they're off, so
Okay.
ideally no.
yeah, I don't think anyone really wants this.
You're sad if it drops. Anetheron's Noose seems
This, though, I
seems
think
really
is-
good.
This is caster Bis for everyone except for maybe Espriest. A lot of casters, there's another haste. There's Waste Wrap of Infinity. That's the other basically caster item. And I believe for warlocks and mages, it's basically Anetheron's Noose is a little bit better for single target, and Waste Wrap of Infinity is significantly better for AoE. So most of your casters are going to be making that decision between the two. So like me personally, I'm like a huge trash shill, so I'm going for Waste Wrap of Infinity over Noose. But if you have people that are more parse oriented, or if you're people who just don't perform as well on trash, right? Every guild is those people who that don't perform as well as trash. Noose is going to be the option for them, but it's single target Bis for basically everyone except for maybe Espriest.
Okay. The sockets are nice too. I don't know if haze gems are in. That might. I don't know. That might just be nutty. All right, what do we got? Archbishop slippers. These are like a side grade from the healer bis. If you get these, you're not getting the trash boots first. That's for fucking sure. But they're just a little bit worse than the trash boots. They're definitely an upgrade over. They're barely an upgrade over the SSC boots. Obviously it's a priest druid. Uta. I don't think you want them if you're anybody else. Healer gear's boring. The money belt. This...
Oh, I guess. Do you think we should be putting like actual priors on these? Like putting priors or just talking about them? Because,
I would say like if you could stick a flag in the ground and say there's a PRIO, but again like you got to give them the caveat of player over class and use whatever your loot PRIOs for bigger stuff is a like I'm not going to give
big ones. If you think about it more of like they gave a warrior that over a shaman, like if that comes up and you can say that, like it would be dumb to give it to that class over this class. I think that's an easy enough a way to like PRIO an item.
Yeah.
But a lot of these is like, it is player over class, or what are they wearing, and how long does it last?
Yeah. I think we often lean into the longer an upgrade is, the sooner you should get it, right? Like if this is an upgrade through phase 4 and the first half of phase 5, for your class specifically over anyone else, then you should definitely get it first.
You don't know how many he's going to drop, right? You could,
but that's true too, yeah.
Yeah, you always treat an item like it might be the only one to drop.
Yeah, and the other caveat with our guild is our guild does a lot of, I feel like, play over class, so like pumpers get items. Our guild also, I think, tends to do a little bit of, griefing the support classes a little bit, because, giving support classes gear just isn't as efficient generally. Obviously, you don't give them 0 gear, but I feel like we do a lot of like, mage lock over other casters just because those are the casters that are going to put gear to the best use.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that when the healing cloak for Illidan comes, but we definitely lean more into DPS gets gear PRIO over anybody else, unless it's extremely obvious that it shouldn't go to them. I think some of our best players are our DPS players, so also. But I mean, that's not every guild,
it's also
right?
going to make everything go smoother too. I mean, if you think about it, if we're talking about like we're clearing all content at this point, if you're clearing all content, all of your support is in place. It's just making it faster, which makes sense to go to the DPS at that point.
Yeah, especially, we're always going for 1-day clears of all content, and in tier 6, that's going to be a very, very tall ask. So speed always matters. Even honestly, I think even in casual guilds, speed matters more than you think, because getting stuff down to 2 days, or getting extra attempts in, or getting it down to 1 day, those are all huge things to get, even if you're not a super hardcore guild.
Yep.
But of course, you have other restrictions in casual guilds when it comes to distributing loot.
Okay, Don Alejandro's money belt.
So this is just pretty much strictly Hunter. There's really no reason to give it to anyone else. It's going to be Hunter Bis when they can equip it, when they have the hit. So, you see one drop early, just give it to your BM Hunter, or maybe even the Survival. The Survival might put it on immediately, so it's not a bad option for them. The BM might think they can put it on early, but once they start taking off that tier 5 and put it on that tier 6, they're going to wish they didn't shard their old belt.
I know that the transition from tier 5 to 6, you just lose a ton of hit, and so you need to kind of factor that in. If you're Draenei, you're extra lucky, but everyone else really is going to struggle.
Yeah.
So
for that reason, I think you just go Survival. They don't get right now they're kind of a support class. I know they scale really hard into Sunwell, but as a support item goes, or a support class goes, like if you had to throw this to someone, I'd go Survival.
Yeah. Pro Hunter. And then BM, and then does anybody else want
BM,
it?
and then
Rogue,
some
maybe?
people without. So I didn't look too much into it because it's like 100 deaths, 100 deaths, 100 deaths, right? A rogue without 100 deaths might want it, but at the end of the day, they want 100 deaths.
Yeah, it's really hard to give a piece of gear to someone. That is a better option, even if it's a very rare option. If it's for someone else.
So we're talking about, I mean, not everyone's going to have 100 deaths. I mean, if you look at every class, every list, 100 deaths is the best belt for everyone. I mean, it's like the hunters have it as BIS, you have warriors having it as BIS, and it's unrealistic to have those as BIS for those people. So I think at least talking about that this is a good option is a better thing to put out.
I mean, you also want to be going back and doing Vosh.
There's another leather belt
that.
we'll get to. Shadow Walker's Cord. There's 2 mail belts, and there's 2 plate belts. So this being this for hunters and someone not having a 100 deaths, I don't feel too bad because there are, like I said, 6 other belts. So just give it to a guy you know will use it all tier.
Okay, cool. Enchanted leather sandals. These are... Where are they? They're good, but not best for druids. The cloth trash boots are best for druids, but again, these are close to the cloth trash boots. So you give these to your druids, and then you let the priests get the trash boots first. There's also these, you know, these are both pretty much the same item. Actually, they might be. They're remarkably close. The leather one has more stam, and that's it. Golden Links, it's more catch-up gear. Shamans like it, but they don't want it. It's a side grade.
Yeah, shamans want all their tier basically.
Yeah, they want 4-piece tier 6. I don't think they use. They don't use gloves. Resto shamans.
Yes, the off-piece you want is the gloves, mostly because that's the haste slot.
Yeah.
So there's all the haste ones in the gloves. So yeah, this is basically used until you get the chest. But on the other hand, it's worth mentioning some guilds aren't going to be killing end bosses super soon, right? And so then some of the chest and helm off pieces become much more valuable.
You should be running the 2-piece tier 4. You know, give it to whoever doesn't have a good chest, and if everybody does, then it's not something that should be fretted about too much. Quick strike moccasins.
Not an amazing item, but I wouldn't mind having them. 15 hit rating on a hunter, going in X tier. Shamans won't be using them, but they're very similar to the ones shamans do want, which are the soft step. So when we get to those, you can kind of see they're very similar. So if you have absolutely no hunters that want them, I don't think a shaman would mind having them.
They seem decent as that like stopgap between tier 5 and 6 for hunters too. You know, like with that hit, it's nice. Yep. They're not bis, but they're like you're not sad if you get them. You know?
Yeah, I would take them just to have the hit, just to move gear around.
Holy Pallies want tier shoulders, but these are fun. They look silly. And they're pretty good. Obviously only Holy Paladin. It's probably going to prop pally as off spec though.
You don't see many unique models, right? Most of it's like tier clone, but like that's cool. That's a unique. Like it looks like it actually came out of the Waddle K instance.
Yeah,
right.
It's the same. The same as these, but it's it's one of the cooler models. I forgot that these existed. Unbreakable Will, worse than the Mallet, right?
It's I mean, if you don't have Mallet, sure, grab it. It's a good defensive one, but I would stick with Mallet just for the expertise.
Yeah, that expertise is juicy on them. I mean, it's probably better mitt, so you just.
It's a mitigation weapon, yeah. You can pick it up if it drops, but it's not like, oh my god, I want that.
Would you ever use it, like purposefully?
I'm trying to think of like maybe like Mother or something like that. Something that's super hard hitting.
Illidan?
Galv. Illidan's, I don't think he's that bad.
Okay.
He's more just quick hits.
Okay.
Well, I feel like this is the kind of item you'd only this is the item I'd consider using if you were off tanking something that threat absolutely didn't matter. So
honestly, like this would be good for your prop paladin if he's just off tanking, like council fight where he's just off tanking the rogue. Like throw this on. Threat doesn't matter. Like you just get extra mitigation.
That's a good point. It looks cool. Blade of Infamy. This is Hunter Bis, right?
So yeah, so it's also Fury offhand second Bis, but first Bis is going to be your vengeful weapon.
Or glaive.
And well, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not going there, yeah. So your first Bis is the offhand warglaive, and then it's technically not Bis without the set either. So yeah, so it's like the third best item. If your warriors are getting 1850, you probably want to hit your survivals first. It's really nice on a survival hunter. I expect most Furies in our guild, there's talk that they're pushing for 1850. So hopefully, 3 weeks, 4 weeks go by without, them needing one of these and we can just hit the hunters. But you know, if there's probably someone that doesn't make it, it's not a bad win
Yeah,
for them.
and like if someone goes and does that and they, you know, take themselves off of the list for something like this, that should probably be factored into their PRIO elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I think rogues might use this if they don't have Talon, but I think that's one rogue in our guild, and I can imagine there's probably like other rogues in other guilds somewhere. That
yeah,
don't have
Odie
Talon.
says or Talonless rogues. Poor guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, Odie would use this. Yeah, so if I had to PRIO someone, it would probably be a Talonless rogue. If we're not going back to kill Morgrim. And then I would like to give it to Survival Hunters or Fury Warriors that just emit defeat.
Yeah.
Like if they just say I suck, then, you know, maybe we'll give you a Blade of Infamy, but it's going to hurt you somewhere else, right?
Sure. Okay, cool. I like this model. Pillar of Ferocity. I think it's Feral Druid Abyss.
There's not a lot to say.
Pretty
about this.
simple. Looks cool as shit. Good job, Blizzard. Bastion of Light.
Yeah.
Holy Pally
They give
Abyss.
a unique model to the weapon that is never seen.
No, wait. Is
They're
this is the Shaman one? I think. This is the Shaman one. This should only go to Shamans. Do not give this to a Paladin. The Paladin have a different one. It's their Abyss offhand. It's shiny. If you give this to a Shaman, you're griefing your Paladin. It's simple.
No, the other way around.
Sorry, if you give this to a Paladin, you're griefing your Shamans. Thank you. Okay. Kaz'rogal, Angelisa Shash. This is Priest and Druid Bis. It should go to your Priest first, though, because Druids have a leather one that's really close. But Druids do want this eventually. This is the one item with haste on it that I would give to the Priest over the Druids first.
Is that just because how close the leather one is?
Yeah, the leather
I think
one
it's-
also has haste, but it's pretty close. It's not quite as good. I forget exactly what it drops.
They're essentially the same item. It's
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 points off or something.
Yeah, it's really close. I think it's like Shade of Akama or something. I will. This
That
one, yeah.
From Legit.
So it's got haste on it. It's very close. I would give it to your Priest first. The other one. This one, obviously, Druids. This belt could also go to Shamans and Holy Pallies if they want it. There's no reason for it not to go to them, but Druids want this also.
Yeah, there's several slots. I believe gloves are the same thing, where basically there's one of almost the same item in each armor category.
Sure.
And you basically just move up the armor categories, right? It's very common
Yeah,
sense. You just,
yeah.
you know, you give it to the highest armor category if they can use it, and otherwise, you know, if
Lowest
you
common,
get 2 plus one,
yeah,
you just move it up. So
exactly.
it's very easy to PRIO.
These are cool.
So these are,
I think that's
I
Ellie
believe
Shaman,
these
right?
are Elibis.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
these are mage side grade bis. Mages basically use one offset, and you know there's 3 different options for mage offset. There's these legs, the tier legs, or the tier chest. So you'd probably start giving these to your mages after you give it to your Ellie. But
Sure.
as a mage, this is my 3rd option. So
Okay.
I'm not too worried.
So
about
Ellie gets this first. A lot of sockets, which is cool. Socket bonus is good. A little bit of hit, which I think Ellie Shamans need a little bit of hit, not much, right? But yeah. No one's gonna be fighting over this. Blue suede shoes. These are cool.
These are bad for everyone. I think.
But they're cool. Keep
They
on.
they might beat the lurker boots for some classes if you really need the hit, but there's basically everyone wants the sea colors, so these are basically your consolation prize
Right.
catch up gear boots.
Sure, more side grade stuff. It's nice that the raid has a lot of this stuff for the first few weeks, right? But eventually you're just like sad if you see it.
Yeah, but it's always like you don't. People will be like, I don't want those.
Sure.
They're an upgrade, but I don't want them. You know, like
I mean, you give them
that's
to
not what I
people
want.
that are higher prio and some of the bigger items. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if nobody wants it. Razor Fury, I think also nobody wants this.
Yeah, it's kind of a.
It's too much stam.
Yeah, I don't see who's taking this.
Yeah. Belt of the Crescent Moon. I mean, Boomkin, right? Probably.
I don't know if Boom can scale. I'm not too familiar with casters, but it seems like Boom can scale better with crit, right? Don't they get?
But you're just not going to give these to anyone else. Like no one
Yeah,
else
like they'll take them, right? But I don't know if they'll put them on. Right? Auto blasting might just be better, right?
Yes, the sockets are nice in Belt of Blasting. I mean, this is some early haste, so you could ostensibly give it to the Resto Druid as a quick haste buff, so they get to
haste,
get to their breakpoint, which I think is 113. That's probably
it's very notable for Resto Druids because 3 of their haste pieces are free, so they can get, assuming the haste neck is in, they can get neck, shoulders, and wrists essentially for free.
Yeah.
And then it's basically, well, I guess the shoulders you have to like have tailoring or something, but you can technically re-level your professions
sure,
because it doesn't actually require it. So if you have a super try-hard Resto Druid, they are on day 1, they are 1 piece away from hitting their haste breakpoint.
Sure.
So in some of those niche situations, you might want to give them something like this just to get them there if no one really.
Yeah, I would totally give this to our Resto Druid week 1 and feel good about it, just as a way to like get them there. I mean, this is 1/3 of the haste you need to hit that breakpoint. So, shut the fuck up, guys. Okay. Black Featherlight boots, also not great. A lot of hit, but nobody wants them, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's better options.
No sockets.
No, nice AP, nice hit, but you might pick it up just to have hit, but you probably would never put them on.
Sure. These same shoulders, same thing. The pet crit
cool,
is fun. Yeah, I like that idea.
I wish they would have done more with that, especially with BM. That could have been a nice way to scale BMs a little bit better.
Totally.
But yeah,
it's interesting. But again, you're sad if it drops. Veilstalker, again, I don't think anybody wants this. I guess you give it to a hunter.
Yeah, you really nobody would want to take this.
Yeah,
like the Deep Shadows probably better if you need the hit.
If it sims better and like you get this, in my opinion, your PRIO shouldn't be less for anything else down the line.
Correct.
Right. This is just this is just an item that
it's
just
haste
exists.
rating.
Right?
Maybe the enhancements would want to play around with it. Right.
Sure. Well, I was saying it's a holy paladin belt prospect. I'm cool with that also.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the Rets might want it, right? Rets and Hans seem to want
sure.
the haste.
Suntouch chain leggings. This is for anyone that doesn't have the KT legs, like Air, our shaman, who can't seem to get KT legs to drop.
Well, even then they replace it with tier.
Yes,
so
I'm just.
Yeah.
We'll get to healer tier later, but healers are very low on tier PRIO, so this is a good time to get this early, and you're really happy. I would totally enchant and gem it, and soccer bonus is good, and yeah. These are, I mean, they're juicy. Look at this. This is a lot of stats, a lot of MP5.
Yeah.
I think it's probably better than tier. Let's look.
Stat for stat, yeah, but once you look at that set bonus, like you got to figure that out. That's kind of the problem with a lot of this gear is like how good the 4 pieces are for a lot of classes.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I would say it's better than tier, but with set bonus, which you need, it's not. So
you can kill all the bosses, so it's like, why take that? You might why get, you're not gonna throw epic gems in it, and that's another thing to remember is like,
yeah.
You might throw yellows and blues, but you're not going to throw reds, right?
Yeah. Tier legs are like the last slot for shamans, apparently. On a slot for slot basis. Cherry is saying the shaman legs are the worst piece, but you do still want them. Belt of Seething Fury. That seems cool.
Yeah, reds, though, probably before haste as their best secondary. Definitely before haste, you have expertise, and You know, for that reason alone, it's like 100 deaths. But if you don't have 100 deaths, maybe this piece.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, haste is cool.
But again, if you get this, you shouldn't be any lower on PRIO for 100 deaths, in my opinion. It's like, it's just an item that goes out and it has no loot PRIO influence, in my opinion.
Exactly. Just who needs it?
Yeah. Hammer Atonement. This goes Pally. Any Pally that doesn't have Vosh Mace, if you only have one, if you do have Vosh Mace, you still give this to your Holy Pally. And then Shaman, and then anybody else. This is a side grade. Shouldn't influence loot PRIO elsewhere, but Pallies are probably last to get the Illidan Mace, so most of them should have this before they get that. Illidan Mace is still better. Kaz'rogal's Heart and Heart.
It's better than the Gruul Shield. It's the exact same stats. Everything's just all better. Either your prots are fine.
It reminds me of the Noth offhand. You know, the Frozen Heart.
Yeah, I just love the beating heart of it. It's actually a really cool item.
It is a cool item. Let's look at the Noth's Frigid Heart. Beating also. That's cool. I just love when they do stuff like that. Where? Alright, Azgalor. Don Rodrigo's Poncho. Give it to your druids. It's not BIS, they don't want it. But you give it to your druids if they need it. Side grade catch-up. Shady Dealer's Pantaloons.
So these are kind of cool, right? There's a set that exists that hunters wear these, but
And not Curse Vision.
And not Curse Vision, not, you know, like,
Yeah.
you don't want to take Bow Stitch, like, you know, you don't want to give a certain BM because you don't like them any loot PRIO, so you give him those, and he's still not that far behind. I'm not gonna name his name, but you know, you have that guy. So yeah, if these drop, anyone could really take them. I might just say give them to a BM, but it's not a huge deal. Whoever gets these items.
Are they better than the KT legs?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. If you don't have Murderous Titan, it's a good.
No, you know what they are. They would be. They would be.
Okay.
They're definitely better than KT legs. Especially once you start getting some of that armor bend, then yeah, you.
Wrath is saying these are BIS for ferals. That makes sense.
BIS feral cat or feral tank?
I imagine cat.
Yeah.
If that's true, it definitely goes to them first, probably.
Yep. Yeah. That's not really a set we gear, but yeah, I mean, sure.
I think we should start thinking about it more. There's a lot of opportunities for that. Bow Stitch, I think these are a discussion, right?
Yeah, this is kind of what you want, right? Out of those legs, out of those two legs off this boss, you want to see a pair of bow stitched. So, biggest Ray DPS, it'd probably be very close between enhancement and survival. I'd PRIO this survival hunter first. Everyone benefits when the survival gets gear.
Sure.
But they would be about equal. If an enhancement got it over survival, I wouldn't say one thing or another, right? It would just be, they'd probably be about equal in these legs. Yeah. They're nice legs. They're the BM second BIS. So there's, you know, everyone's seen that set going around of like, hey, Curse Visions is only 15 DPS for a BM hunter, right? Well, that second set includes Bow Stitch. So if you want to throw BM hunters on them, then you have, you know, a lot of guilds run more than one enhance, one survival, maybe 3 BMs. So now you're putting a lot more people on Bow Stitched. You know, I wouldn't go that route. I would just say enhancements take these, survival hunters take these, keep your BMs off them.
Yeah, just for distribution's sake, that seems a good idea. You just slam 3 Agi gems in it and are happy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay. It's a lot of armor.
It's another one of those off-taking items. You're not going to use that for main. I mean, it'd be good for... It's really just a bad threat piece. The stats, just a shit ton of armor and stamina, but having no strength, no agility, you don't really want it. You're going to use your tier 5 over this.
Yeah.
The it's good again for like off tanking for either the paladin or the warrior. Just it's a ton of avoidance on it and a ton of stamina.
They do this thing where it's like they put a face in the graphic. It's just so odd.
That's what tabards are for.
Girdle of Hope. I think this is Palibus.
It's played. You don't have to go any further.
It's Palibus.
Let's go to the ballot.
I'm just so they know. It's itemized pretty well. A lot of stam. It's good. This is the one belt that who cares? It's Healer. Balance Agony. I think this is also Hunter Biss, right?
Yep. So your BM hunters are going to take this as their offhand. They have a lot of main hand options they can choose between, depending on hit. If they can hit 1850 and some other things. But
Sure.
yeah, you just throw this to your BM hunters for their offhand.
Cool. Pretty easy. So tier, we can have a larger discussion about tier.
Probably don't even touch it at this point.
Yeah, in my opinion, healers get tier last. Priests dead last. Shamans do want their tier a little bit earlier than last. I know BM want tier really early. Fury Warriors want tier really early. Prop Warriors don't. Mages don't. Warlocks do. Tier's not so bad in this phase. It was a lot harder in phase 2, in my opinion, to distribute the tier. All right, Archimonde. Chrobes of Hronin. Diri, I don't know. These are
They're basically just worse Vash robes. So
yeah.
If your warlocks don't have Vash robes, they can consider picking this up. But if you have Vash robes, there's no point.
Investments. You should be killing Vash every week still for the robes and the belt. Don't not kill Vash. Leggings of Eternity. These are priest and druid bis. I would give them to the priest first because there's an alternative for druid that's very, very close. But the druid do want to pick these up eventually. These are exciting. When they drop, you get excited. You only want a couple of them, so. This is the one piece of tier, or the off piece that priests use. Priests are supposed to use 4-piece tier 5 or 4-piece tier 6. Otherwise, so. Okay, good.
Yeah, you baited me. I was like, I know this one. This one's
Go
easy.
ahead.
Yeah, that's enhancement shaman item, right? That drops. You're gonna go to your enhancement shaman. Their tier's garbage this phase, so you make sure they get that.
Cool. This thing is juicy. This is less juicy. I don't think anyone gets this, right? Comparatively.
Yeah. It's like
this is
feels
trash.
bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is also trash. Nobody wants this. Side grade ketchup, whatever. Give it to whoever I mean, if the pally doesn't have better, just give it to them, but they're also sad it drops. Like Guards of Endless Rage.
They're not awful, right? There's way better legs, but maybe hit your ret first, or maybe hit someone who doesn't have a good pair of legs. In the end, you're not gonna be super excited when these drop, but I think the rets are gonna want their divine ret or bow stitch legs.
Yeah.
The warriors are gonna want leggings of divine ret. So really, you might want to just pick it up in case you find hit problems, but that won't really happen.
I really like rets in plate because they die all the fucking time. So
yeah, the problem is a lot of the two-handed weapon classes, hunters, rets, arms, hit can just be wasted.
Yeah.
You can just waste all that hit, and that always feels bad. But it's 140 AP base.
Okay. Scepter of Purification. This is Druid and Priest Bis. It's not a big deal who this goes to. I would probably give it to a Druid first, just because of PRIO elsewhere, but make a decision based on who's gotten loot recently, and that it's not that big. It's a small upgrade. Illidan offhand. All right, the fun stuff.
Yeah, so this should probably further discussion. This should probably wait until we get to Zardoom, right? Because that's where what you're really talking about. This is basically your consolation prize if you don't get Zardoom. The main exception being, do you want to give this to your prop pally? Because it is a small to moderate sized upgrade over the trash mace, but of course the trash mace is basically free. So, and obviously prop pallies aren't going to be using Zardoom. So that's the only real like TOC specific thing. Everything else is just going to be, if you don't get Zardoom, this is your consolation.
How about and I'm gonna ask questions about this stuff, especially Zardoom and DOC, because I don't know as a physical DPS. Like, do you just say like Warlocks get Zardoom? Like, is that a fair assessment, or is it like not at all?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting because Warlocks get a lot more, get a little bit more from the haste, but also TOC is quite itemized towards hit, and mages, especially ally side, are basically already hit cooked. Like,
I feel like giving it to a prop pally, though, to me, it's like there's so many different ways to get that snap threat. Like you can sapper, you have all kinds of you got MD sappers, you got MD traps, you have all that, and it's like,
yeah,
is that and the big thing that scales off for prop pallies is the spell the damage and healing. So it's what, like 20 more.
Yeah, I largely agree with you. Especially
the hit shouldn't be ignored either, though. That actually is a pretty good set for pallies.
If the trash mace didn't exist, I would say you should probably be giving these to your prop pallies. But because the trash mace exists and because it's almost free for prop pallies,
the trash mace has hit too, right? So it's like the same amount of hit, 20 less.
They should just probably take the trash mace and leave this to casters, but that's the only consideration basically.
I don't feel
it's just all Zardoom versus this.
I don't feel like a prop pally would pine for this item, knowing that trash mace exists. They would just be like, yeah, that's.
I mean, you'd be.
I would say
right?
you don't know that. I mean, there's people that are pining over like warrior DSTs and shit like that. That's ridiculous. Probably.
Yeah.
And
There are definitely people who are going to want this, and in some casual guilds, maybe you should give it to your prop pally because maybe they aren't, pumping sappers every single time or aren't optimizing their cooldowns. Like prop pally is not that easy to play on trash.
The one thing that I would look at is like take stock of like what you have in your raid, and then like make sure that there's items that are evenly distributed between them, because you're only going to get so many of everything, right? And so you want to make sure that people are on the staff, people are on the dagger, people are on that prop pally mace. So
yeah, once you hit enough, I'd say you hit what I would do, hit the pally with the mace. After a few daggers or dooms come out, kind of assess where you're at. If you're like, this is a sword, so you have priests and boomkins who can't use it.
Yeah,
I would just go with one of those.
I wouldn't give this to a prop pally first. I think they're better. There are alternatives that are good enough, and I like giving stuff to DPS classes. So
exactly.
But I think that's part of the philosophy is we always are going to PRIO DPS. It might not be the same for every guild, and I think it's worth mentioning.
Sure. So if you had to pick Diri, Mage or Warlock
for TOC versus Zardoom, I think Zardoom TOC should purely be based on player. Zardoom, there's a little bit of an extra consideration on S-Priest, whether you want to push S-Priest up for higher, even though they don't actually get as much of a use out of it because they're giving group benefits with it. But, I mean, for both Warlocks and Mages, I believe, the calculus is basically that it's kind of like the belt situation. Well, it's not quite. It's not, but TOC is a small downgrade over Zardoom for single target. The difference is not huge, but it is a quite big downgrade over Zardoom for trash. That's where the haste on Zardoom, the fact that it's itemate towards haste and crit, which are basically your AoE stats, really comes into play. So I think it should basically go to your trash pumpers, or your overall damage pumpers should get Zardoom, and then other people should be happy with Tempest of Chaos.
I don't think you're sad either way. I think the Atiyesh, who's been wearing Atiyesh, also is something to take into account. Like if you've been wearing Atiyesh for fucking a year, that should probably be something that you factor in. But they did get an Atiyesh in Nax, so I guess maybe not.
Got an Atiyesh.
Yeah, that's fair. So
I think it should just be straight up. Zardoom, as I said, there's a special consideration possibly for S-Priest, but I think for Mage versus Warlocks, I think should be straight up player based.
Okay. We're gonna move on. Cat's Edge.
It's
PvP, right?
No. Your arms are definitely gonna want that.
Really?
Your arms. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was BIS. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kebab, Glaives are Arbis, but yeah,
Cool.
they're gonna get this.
Well, it's an easy. I mean, this will be fun. Off-spec loot eventually.
Yeah, it's a fun item, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's big.
It's like
I wouldn't mind having one.
Ashgondi. It's exciting. Apostle Argus. This is a ketchup/PvP staff. You don't want it to drop, but if it does, you're like, okay. I would say it's probably a little bit worse than the Gurtogg staff or the ROS staff. I can't remember for PvP. It's Gurtogg. But you give it to anyone who's not wearing Abyss weapons already from the last phase or is nowhere close to being up for anything, and then they should be pretty happy with this. This is great for PvP. It's really good MP5. Prop Pally Shield. Probably enhanced, or Ellie Shield also, right? Or no?
I would think Ellie, yeah. Or is there an offhand that they would want over it?
No, that's
I mean,
definitely.
probably give him
I think you
this,
do Prop Pally first, though.
I don't think.
No?
I think you do Ellie first. Yeah.
You go Ellie.
I mean,
Yep.
what is Ellie really getting? Like, are they proud on anything?
Our Holy Paladins have also been talking about doing a lot of trash damage lately, so definitely
That's a good
toss this
point,
to
actually.
them down the line. So I guess we do Ellie first on this. And then Hunter Biss, Bow.
I'd hit your BMs or anyone maybe without a Vash bow. And it's about the same for both.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't have you didn't get lucky and you have a lot of hunters not with a Vash bow, I'd hit them over. Whatever bow drops first, I would just not grief them and give it to them.
Sure.
Unless
I think every
But
hunter's going to want both bows eventually.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
But like you said, BM first, and then unless somebody doesn't have the Vosh bow, and then give it to them. Again, player of a class, this is one of those items that will be great in the beginning, but then you're going to be like, oh, the bow again. Because there's only 2-3 hunters in a raid, so. Yeah, if you guys have only seen one Vosh bow, then give it to whoever hasn't gotten the other one. Tier, we're going to do later. Okay, on the Black Temple. Slippers of the Sea Caller. These are Biss, right?
yeah, that's a caster
Yeah.
Biss item.
These are bits for basically everyone. PRIO is basically, fill-ins or player PRIO or, haven't gotten raid, but whatever. I think everyone wants these. So there might be, I think there's some, there might be, I'm not so sure about Ellie's. There's a male pair of boots that I think is not as good as this, but might be an upgrade over tier 5.
Yeah, I think they're in here. Like you can boots of Oceanic Fury. Right?
Oh, is that the one? Yeah. Oceanic Fury, if you go look at those.
Oh, you got DC'd again, sir.
Sorry.
I think you're AFK too.
No, I'm here.
Right.
But yeah, so, maybe you give the Ellie those boots just because no one else can wear them, but I don't actually know about, like, size of upgrade or anything. I believe they still want Sea Color eventually.
Okay. It's exciting when these drop, I think, off of Najentus. There's not a ton of good loot off of him, so this is a long...
You're going to need, like, 10 of them, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, you want that item to drop
Yeah,
every week.
we think we got a couple on the PTR already, but...
It did seem like we saw a lot of stuff we wanted to see on the PTR, but looking at that loot table, it's like probably a little bit of luck.
Yeah. Hold on. Tooltips are small. Guys of the whatever is guys of the title lurker. It's side grade ketchup. Druids probably won't even wear it if it drops. Got 15 MP5, which is a lot, but yeah. This was that. There's a meta on it, which is good at least. Mantle of Darkness. What a hit.
Yeah, it's not really a great item though. I don't think anyone would use it over their. No one would use it over their tier shoulders. I don't have to think. Yeah, it's just really not that great or an exciting item. It's a lot of hit.
Helm of Soothing Currents. Just Resto Shaman Ketchup. It seems decent. It's just, I think you want to wear your tier helm, so give it to anybody who's. You either go from your tier 2 4-piece and your tier 5 2. Sorry, your tier 4 2-piece and your tier 5 2-piece to tier 6 4-piece. So you really just, there's no place for this really. If someone can't call all that together, then you just give it to them. Decent pally helm too. Fist of Muko, I think is enhanced for Shaman Abyss, right?
Yep, that will be prior to the enhancement shaman. It's an easy one.
Oh.
There's like 3 gloves. There's like another pair of gloves that are like identical too. So, you know, there's a lot of options. I think these are slightly better for some reason. But yeah, it's enhancement shaman.
Cool. Ellie Shaman boots. I think it's their best probably.
Yeah, I think
Slippers
slippers.
is better, but I believe these are an upgrade over tier 5, so
Okay.
they're probably.
I would
these.
probably give Ellie Shamans these and then not prio them the slippers of the sea color. They're probably near the bottom for these. Whatever. Make sure they're enchanting them.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long time.
Yeah, you'll.
So your bis mitigation bracers for both tanks. I mean, I'm probably gonna wear the PvP ones the entire time, but you know, it's an easy pickup, easy catch up one. Or if you don't PvP,
Yeah, those look juicy. What a dodge.
So
Uh,
everyone
ton of
should be getting PvP honor pieces just because.
but yeah, it's like day one. You're gonna walk in there with your honor pieces. I think it's gonna be better than that in almost every situation.
Yeah.
If your tanks aren't getting their honor pieces, you should be replacing your tanks.
Yeah, sorry tanks, you have to play the game. Pearl inlaid boots, these are Palibus. You only want one, pretty much, so this will quickly go to your prop paladin, and then you will be getting a crystal from prop
Prop
paladin.
paladin. Yeah.
Yeah, easy. This is a holy paladin ring. I think you give this to holy pallies, and because it exists, they're very low prio on the trash ring, and I think that's the only other ring.
Oh, did you want to do trash loot, by the way?
There's only a little bit of.
We kind of sort of did. Like you jumped.
We did
it,
most of it.
mistakenly,
We'll go back to it in a second.
It's just the rings are different. The
Sure.
rings are
Yeah, we'll talk
different,
about the ring in a
right?
second. So you give this to, this is third bis for for holy paladins. So this should go to the holy paladins first, and then the shamans, and then you give double blessed band of Karabor to your druids, and then you give one to your holy priest, and then you can start to give those out more. But it's gonna take a second. You give your holy paladins is first, and then they're gonna be last for blessed band of Karabor. Sorry, La. Haste is least impactful for paladins. As much as they want it, they do want it. It's better for every other class more.
There will be a day soon that holy paladins is shit on everybody.
Yeah, your time will
That's
come,
not
La.
today.
Sorry, it's Wrath. You're gonna blow us all out of the water. Ring of Captured Storms seems good. Theory.
Oh shit, sorry. I don't know, man. I think this isn't for mages. That's all I'll say. I don't know about other classes. No mage would ever want.
Yeah,
this
it's
stuff.
not. There's no clear person it's going to on my list for casters. So yeah, I guess you just give it to your warlocks and and I mean, there's no stats on it. That's kind of cool. It's got to be highly itemized with crit and hit and spell damage.
So it's not. So boomies and mages want their stats. So I don't think you're going to want to give it to either of them. And so
it's
Ellies,
a hit
I don't
option
want to hit.
for
I
warlocks.
think Ellies are overhitted anyways. So it's largely going to just be warlocks.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, so you give this to warlocks. Maelstrom's Fury. This is one of those items that you give to someone who's not up for TOC and Zardoom, but is up for something else, like maybe a skull or something.
I feel like this goes Ellie. Like I just remember this being like, it's just so simple to give us the Ellie. I forget they do have a haste break point, so it's like, is Zardoom enough to make that? And then they can't wear a sword. They don't want the hit off them trash mace.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just, in my opinion, would just give this right to your Ellie Shaman.
I just don't see a scenario where you're giving the Ellie Zardoom though. Like,
Yeah,
realistically.
exactly.
Yeah, so you give this to Ellie and then maybe Boomkin and, you know, pat them on the head and thank them for their service. Rising Tide, this thing is actually pretty cool.
No human or alliance player is probably gonna want this, right? Like maybe Horde side they want
yeah,
this.
Orc Warrior could be good.
But catch up offhand, that's about it.
Yeah.
Enhancement Shaman maybe.
Could potentially, but I forget the speed on Siphon. But I
think it's
ideally they want to run.
2.6.
So you want to run double Siphon. It's off Supremus.
2.8. Okay, so
So
maybe
I
too
think
far
you want to
away.
do I think you do Siphon Rod when you get a Siphon.
Gotcha.
Until you get
okay.
2 Siphons.
Rod is 2.7. So yeah. All right. So you just give it to your warriors. Nobody wants it, so it's fine.
Shouldn't be contested, yeah.
Could you go Hunter?
Nah.
It's hit.
Okay. It's hit, but maybe. I mean, if they need it, because you could also get that.
Halberd's cool. I don't think it's good. A lot of hit though.
It's not very good.
If you're like in that middle ground where you want to switch to your tier 6, but you can't with all the other stuff, but if you put this on, it works, then great. I think you probably just roll us out to your hunters. Like literally / roll for it. Yeah. Okay, so we're going back to trash. Most of this we did.
It's just the rings.
This girdle is new, I think. Maybe not.
I mean,
okay, so the rings, and this shield and special budget. Band Devastation. 31 haste, 66 AP. Seems pretty good. I don't think it's BIS for anybody, right?
No, I'm sorry. Band of Devastation. No one's too interested in it. Everyone kind of has better options for rings, but if it drops, you might think about giving to Enhance and Ret that are looking for some haste pieces.
Okay. It's a lot of stam too, so that's worth factoring in for stuff like, I don't know.
If I'm interested in this as a feral for a threat piece, but I haven't done the like actual checking on how.
Nexus is saying this is enhanced BIS, so that's probably who that's going to first then. The stam's nice. Do you do double Nexus? I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know if it's enhanced BIS. I really don't.
And it's ret BIS apparently too. So.
Okay, so it is red and enhanced BIS.
So let's call in JBJ. Nexus says you would double without SSR, so they're getting probably do one and then give it to whoever's not getting SSR first between the ret and the enhance. What's the Band of Karabor? This is BIS for every class, every healing class, straight up. Some wear 2, druids wear 2, priests wear 1, I think. Shamans wear between 1 and 2, paladins wear between 1 and 2. Distribution should go without any argument whatsoever. Resto druids should get 2, then your holy priest should get 1, and then you can kind of decide where they go from there.
Why are you giving resto druids 2?
Because they need as much hit or much haste as they can get early.
Well, once they get their
they want up to like 250, I think, is around like a big number ish. You really should give Resto Druids these first. They're also not PRIO for anything big in the entire tier. So you really want to make sure that they get these first, because it's kind of like for loot distribution, it's kind of like their olive branch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see
Everybody else has Prio and other big items except for Resto Druid, who just gets rushed haste in this tier. Yeah, I mean you could trash farm these too. So if you're going out and trash farming them, if they get 2 in these in trash farm, then great. You know what I mean? I'm gonna incentivize some trash farming infusion. So, yeah, I mean this guy's saying he put double Blessed Band as his first item on his Prio list as a Resto Druid, and that's exactly right. These are huge.
Isn't it? I wonder. I don't know this set, but I think there is a set of like. I give these 3 items or 4 items to your Resto Druid, and then their haste breakpoints taken care of. And I don't know if this is one of them.
This is one of them.
Seems, yeah.
They want 113 like immediately. I think 113 is the number. It's right around there, and then from there it's less important. But you want to prio most of the haste gear to them first until they get done. Ring of Ancient Knowledge.
Everyone.
Seems really good. Do you use 2 or do you use the rep ring?
So mages would use the rep ring for sure. Except possibly 2 when ZA comes out. I remember doing some sims and sometimes this was something better as 2, but I think you basically just give every caster 1 and then start rotating back through. Cool. I mean, I'm curious how many we'll actually get because I don't expect to be able to give out 2s for a long time, but
sure.
Yeah, the only question is basically, do you give an Ellie 1 this? Because Ellies don't actually get any value until they hit their haste breakpoints. I don't know what Ellie haste breakpoints look like. But besides that, yeah, just give everyone 1.
Okay. Yeah, if either of these drop, you're excited. You want these. Hammer of Judgment.
We talked about
it. Illidari Rune Shield. It's not BIS for anybody. I guess you give it to your Ellie. Or
no,
your,
I think that one you would just...
Is this one prot?
Okay. Yeah,
either one. You can do either one.
Then Swift Steel Bludgeon. Super fast.
It could be nice threat tanking piece, especially human. But
yeah, it could be. I mean, for human, you could pick it up for sure. It's probably right on par with Mallet because you're losing that expertise off of there. But that haste is an interesting little twist.
I mean, these are fun, right? I mean, you could totally give it to a prot warrior as a fury item for when he wants to go fuck around. All right, let's pick up the speed. See if we can get going. We start with Infinity. I think you said that this was for most people.
Yeah, it's basically between this and Anetheron's. This is better on trash. So like personally, I'm going for this. A lot of people would prefer Anetheron's, but you basically got to talk to your casters and see which ones they want more.
It's one or the other. You don't get both.
Yeah.
A lot of haste though. Another Shadow Tunic. I don't think anybody wants this.
Nope. It's pretty much a piece that's gonna rot.
Yeah.
Enhancements might take it while they wait for a midnight chest, but midnight chest is free. So if it drops, take it. Maybe not put epic gems in it, but you know, it's kind of a free item.
Okay, so enhance. But it's
and
not
I don't
this.
even know if that. I don't know if that's true. I can imagine when they start taking off their tier 5, this might be better than a piece they have, but it's really not a contested item.
Cool. Supremus bans. This actually is not on my list for some reason. Oh, they're Ellie. It's an Ellie bracer. I'm dumb.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they might even still use the crafted ones, but you know,
easy. Yeah, here's Ellie. They'll tell you if it's BIS or not. It doesn't matter. There's nobody else it goes to. I guess it could be prop pally for threat, but whatever. Ellie first. These are bad. A lot of int. I guess they're not that bad. Hands. Anything?
Yeah, nothing really on those. I mean, it's kind of, they're not awful, right? So you could wear them while you get a deadly cuff, or you get the insidious, but ideally you're not going to want them to drop. You're going to want the other items.
Yeah.
So if I'd had to give them to someone, it'd probably be between the hunter and shaman while they wait.
Sure.
And the shamans come pretty quick, so And then it's like, does the hunter really want them? Because they're gonna need the hit.
Yeah.
So it's really not a great item.
This is the belt that the druids are getting, that the priests can't get. So this is, or the shaman. Sorry, this is shaman belt. Only shaman belt. Nobody else. You can give this to pallies afterwards, but it's shaman first. These are a joke, I think, right?
Yeah, pretty much. 'Cause again, that's one of those off tank ones. Like if you want to throw it on the pally, it's gonna off tank something. That's really it.
Choker of Endless Nightmares.
So this is a one of the first early boss physical contested items that you'll see, right? This is across the board. Pretty much everyone wants this thing, save hunters, and even Furies want it, right? You're not gonna like say Furies you can't have this because it doesn't have stam. This is best Fury DPS. But with how contested everything is, not having stam, the way our personally how our Fury Warriors play, they're going to be more in line to have the serrated blades.
Yeah.
If I had to give this PRIO to someone, a specific class, Rogue's up there really high on single target DPS. They get a lot of hit, but so is Enhance. So it'd probably be those two would come to mind first, and then maybe hit your Rets. Actually, no, I don't think Rets want this. This isn't a red item, so really it's between Rogues and Enhance, and technically Furies, but I said the piece on that.
Yeah. You should get the trash neck pretty quick, either way, with some farming. So, but if you get this, you're not unhappy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
This seems pretty juicy.
Yeah, it's a great ring. It's good to pick up. It lets you a lot of flexibility with the hit.
Yeah.
Not really a ton to say on that. Yeah, tank gear's born.
Okay. Tank gear.
It's Feral
Yeah,
Druid,
pretty much.
right? You just go.
Is it feral
go
base? I
feral.
don't know. It just goes to them. Who cares?
Probably not overall raid DPS.
No,
wise.
you'll use the Raven idol forever. So,
Yeah.
but this will be useful. maybe if you're catting or something, or
Okay.
You're out soloing, or
Yeah, but yeah, they're gonna use the Raven idol forever.
Brutalizer.
Brutalizer's bis non-human tank.
Okay. Humans want mallet still.
Well, humans are gonna probably end up with a sword of some kind. Either we can talk about it later on when it gets here, but you're gonna either use your mallet or you can use the sword from Hygel. This is fine if you don't have mallet, but if you have mallet, you're gonna want that over it.
Okay.
But if you're anything but a human, you want this.
Especially orc. Yeah.
Yeah, for horde orc tanks.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like the orc mallet thing. So. Siphon is enhanced bis, right?
Yep, so all our enhancement shamans, all alliance side enhancement shamans are going to want this. Horde side, I believe they want double PvP weapons. But the nice thing is, and don't tell the casters this because we've been like trolling them a little bit, is this doesn't eat ISB right now. It's been tested.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about clicking off a buff, but you can just keep telling the casters that it's going to eat their
Clicking off
shadow
bus, man.
hordes.
I miss doing that. Yeah, it just goes to enhanced shamans. There's no one else that these should go to.
Yeah, if a Fury takes this, they're just griefing.
The exciting thing about this is it enables the enhancement shamans to drop blacksmithing, so they can pick up engineering. You really want one of these. I think you should, if you have two enhancement shamans, you give one and then one so that they can each use rod and this, and then you give the second one because you want to get the blacksmithing one replaced immediately.
Yep, I think it's the way you do it.
Yeah, and the squawks are huge. That'll be exciting for everybody.
We haven't. I don't think we've seen 5 squawks yet because our shamans are blacksmithing.
This is the pally shield. It's the pally shield. This is the tank bow, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Tank bow. Easy. Gives you tank. Akama. Side grade. You don't want to see this. It's a bummer. I remember getting this back in the day and thinking it was so cool and then realizing it was worse than tier. Focus mana binding.
I don't think anyone wants these. I think everyone who would use these uses the crafted ones.
Sure.
So I don't think anyone cares about these.
More healing bracers that are shit. Everybody wants the crafted ones. Shadow Walker's Cord. This seems good.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? it's nice as a stopgap between 100 deaths and other items. So if I had to PRIO someone, probably your enhancement shamans would look at this if they didn't want, or if they didn't have the 100 deaths.
Okay.
Definitely not hunter, not rogue. So it's kind of in the air between Rets and Hanson.
Cool. Love giving Ret gear because they get such shit PRIO elsewhere. So, these are the pants that you give the druids because they're not getting the Archimonde pants first. The leggings of eternity are strictly better, so druids should get this first, and then you give them the cloth Archimonde pants second. You're sad when these drop after the first one. Shoulder pads, I know hunters want tiers, so these aren't good. Are they enhancement shaman?
No. No one's really super interested in these.
Okay.
It's yeah.
Okay.
Nobody's really gonna want these.
Spirit Walker gauntlets. These are the gloves that shamans use. Rest of shamans use. They use tier otherwise. These are good. You want 3 of these, or 2 to 3 of these in your raid. You can also give these to pallies if they want them. They're good. The haste is really nice. A lot of haste. Flashfire girdle. You just give it to your Ellie. Simple. You could also go Resto Shaman if they want for the haste. It's a lot of haste.
I was saying Resto Shamans and Holy Paladins might consider these.
Sure.
Just because haste is broken on those
I
classes.
don't think the Pally quote Bis belt has haste on it, so depending on your paladin, they might want this. But you definitely give it to your Ellie first, and then they can talk about it. The rest of Shaman want gloves off of Teron? This one?
This is slightly better, but you obviously give it to your druid first. It's the exact same thing as all the other slots. You just move up the armor.
You definitely give these to the resto first, and the other druid ones to the resto druid, and then you can start to fuck around. These are still pretty good. Seeker's wrist guards. Prop Paladin.
You hope you only ever see one.
Yeah. Grips of Silent Justice. These are the Fury Warrior Bis that aren't the 4-piece.
Yep. So these are really good items. You're gonna definitely hit your Furies first. There's no questions.
Yeah.
Or I would say Warriors, but Furies with the hit, that definitely.
I wonder, could these go to your Prot Warrior eventually? Would they use this?
Yeah. As a threat item, it's not awful. Right?
Maybe you have Garlands of Enforcement that are really solid.
I know
But
Fury.
They're an
you
interesting
guys,
piece.
everyone's like Fury. Of course, they go to Fury first, but I'm talking about eventually. Like, would a Prot Warrior use it?
You would take them, especially for any point in time where you're just DPS
Sure.
and you toss them on.
I think you go Hunter.
Jox is
guys,
like, don't you fucking
Yeah,
give
totally
them
Hunter.
to a Prot Paladin or a Prot Warrior.
Totally for
He's
Prot Paladin.
He's
No,
losing
that's
his
the
mind
problem.
over here. All right, Praetorian's leg guards.
They're an interesting piece because they're just a shit ton of stam, 3 sockets, but you have no other stats.
Yeah.
I wouldn't break my 4-set for this, but I would pick them up. I mean, if the Paladin has less gear and what's his off tanking, I'd probably prio him. But for a warrior, like if you can use this to break your tier set if you start getting all the other off pieces, you're going to break your set with anyway. But I wouldn't break it just for this piece.
Pies is saying
Dude,
that give it to a Prot Paladin first. It's something better for them.
I would
so.
totally agree with that. Yeah.
Dude, if you put all stam gems in that, that's like over.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's so much stam.
Like this would be good for like Hydraul Trash for them and stuff like that. So
Yeah. I mean, and then anytime you're just not worried about threat, like you throw these things on.
sure, Mother spots like that.
Right, exactly. So these are interesting, right? So the main thing of thought is always go your PvP boots, belt, neck, and bracers. I actually really like these boots, and I'm probably not going to run the PvP ones. I'm going to run these. It gives me more room to mess around with things in other slots if I have the hit and defense here.
Yeah,
So I do like these, even though they're not like on any BIS list anywhere.
sure.
But I think they're really solid piece.
Yeah, they look pretty well rounded. So, and the sockets are so nice.
Right.
Ring of Deceitful Intent. It's got hit on it.
So, yeah. So this is So we're getting to the point where stuff starts getting like pretty exciting with physical when you kind of start mapping out, well, where do items go? So in my mind, this is rogue. This is a rogue item, but hunters will be interested in this one too. And I'm sure people are like, no, Hunter Abyss SSR. It says that. Well, the difference between like this and SSR is about 60 PS. So I would definitely say give this to your rogue first, and then start hitting the hunters as they need to hit.
Yeah, I have a Ring of Lethality that I'm using.
Yeah, Ring Lethality.
Feeling really
Ranger
good
Generals,
about. Yeah, I'd like a Ranger General too, but
yeah,
you really
Any
want
of
like
those
one or
three.
two hit pieces, right, for that gap. So for the hunters,
Yep.
but you give it to the rogues first.
yeah.
Okay. Warlock offhand, I guess. I don't think anybody wants this, right?
No, I think it's. I'm sure there's a person that needs a hit that would take it, or a DPS like tank Illidan set. The guy wants it, but
Yeah. Theory.
Just side grain from Phantom Stone.
Okay.
Maybe a tiny bit better, but the hit is hard to use for some classes.
Sure.
So, I mean, if some of your Warlocks don't have Fathom Stone, maybe
Okay.
give it to them.
Are you guys good to stay? I know there's a raid in 5 minutes.
yeah,
You're good.
No,
to-
we're
You're good. Okay. Let's try to finish it if we can.
Yeah, I'm only good for like another 30.
Okay. Try to forgiveness. I think you give this to it to the priests. I think it's better than the KT cloak, but only barely. And for reasons that I will explain, it is what the priest should be using for a while. I don't think the priest should be getting a shot of the Highborn anytime soon. So that's the KT cloak, or the Illidan cloak. So you give this to the priests, and you say, "Thank you. You have PRIO elsewhere." Blood Curse shoulder pads. These also seem bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you give it to a warlock if he's not, using whatever. But don't really want. Garments of Temperance, another item that you should never use. If you don't have a good chest, then sure, but priests want tier 5 4-piece, and then they want tier 6 4-piece. The set bonuses are bad, but this isn't something. Belt of Primal Mastery. This is the belt the druids get that the priest can't get. So give this to your druids. Then you give it to your resto shamans who aren't getting the one from Supremus. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? It's almost identical. Strictly, the druids do want the belt off of the priest cloth belt over this, but only barely. Morgan's dancing of it. Best of Matching Assault. This thing is bad.
yeah. You're just not gonna.
We could go. Survival, I guess. It's a lot of agi, but probably
It's
not.
a lot of ad. Yeah, they're gonna want their 4-piece.
Yeah, you're not gonna drop your 4-piece for it. So
There's really no good place for that.
prop pally belt, prop pally belt, prop pally belt.
What makes you say that?
The damage and healing.
Or Holy Pally for high.
Yeah, or luck could have that for fun, but probably not.
This is probably going to be using as a pro warrior.
It's got
unless you
1,000
have 100
armor
deaths,
on it.
but you're
It's crazy.
probably going to be using this.
Yeah, it looks good. I'd love to get Arbor Tank's 1,000 deaths, but this has got 1,000 armor. It seems good.
You should be using this regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have it and you need the thread, 100 deaths. If not, you should be using this.
This is the Fury Warrior Abyss. I think in all the sets, they want this.
Yeah, that's. You
It's
probably just
insane.
go red though, right? JK. Yeah. Fury Warrior Abyss, Fury Warrior Prio, Fury in Arms. Yeah, they'll want this.
Easy. Do you go arms or Fury first? If you had to pick,
I think you look at the player.
Okay.
I think overall, like,
it's a really good piece. So like,
yeah, it's just
you're really happy if you get this. A lot of armor pen.
probably
much armor.
probably just hit the Furies, and then go Arms Warriors.
This is Biss. Thanks, Jox. I appreciate the input. Give me 1 second. Talk about this ring.
This isn't an awful ring, so the Warriors are definitely gonna want this. They're gonna take it. This combined with SSR is their Abyss. Not much to say about it. It just kind of goes to Warriors, and anyone who needs a ring option, it's there. But I don't think Rhett's not going to be interested, and Hans isn't going to be interested, so it's clearly just you go warrior. It's sad because I think he wanted me to say more about it, but Shadowman Insignia, that's a good tank trinket, right?
It's your life-giving gem of TBC. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna drop. You're gonna take them as a tank. It's whatever. It gives you options elsewhere if you need to move gear around. That's really it.
This Ikanari is saying it's a Ret alternative bis to Trash Ring. So.
Yeah, it's I still think you'd hit warriors, and then it just kind of comes down to it's a unique ring. You can't stack it, but the Trash Ring will drop, right? Like you can farm that.
Yeah.
You can spend 10 hours in there one night and just fucking get it, and then you have it.
Cool.
You don't have to worry about it. So you hit warriors with this.
I mean, this drops, you're happy. You know what I mean?
It's a good ring, yeah.
He says
a nice ring.
it's better on fights less than 2 minutes and 30. Shadow Moon Insignia. There's no way you use this, right?
You keep it around just for opting. That's really it. I mean, you have the stam trinkets that are coming out, the cards and everything. It's an okay
it's like
piece, but, I mean, it's a life-giving gem.
Yeah,
it's
life-giving
really
gem, right? Gem. Yeah, it's life-giving gem. I mean, I love life-giving gem as a tank or tank 4, which I was
the
sometimes.
The problem is this only heals like 200 more than a life-giving gem does. Like 3 tiers later.
Yeah, it's like 10% of your health at this point, so it's not as much as like a third it used to be. Messenger of Fate. I think this is like a dagger rogue, right?
No, there's no such thing. It's. I mean, yeah, dagger rogue, but yeah, there's.
You could give it to PvP rogues. It's probably decent for like it's really fast, so it's probably decent for applying poisons and stuff. I don't know.
The Agi's not bad, so if you're survival hunters looking for a piece before they get the sword, you can definitely hit them with this. But it's like, it's not something you want to see drop.
Yeah. All right. Staff of Immaculate Recovery. This is Priest and Druid, I think, PvP bis. You only want a couple of these. It's not that big a deal. It's really good though. I would wear this over the Archimonde staff. It looks great. It's pretty silly. I really want one of these quickly, because then I can replace my I would probably use this over my season 2 mace and my Alar offhand, and then I would definitely use it in PvP. Wand of Prismatic Focus.
It's awful. I mean, maybe for a stamp set. It
looks terrible.
Otherwise, it's awful.
Okay, it's bad. Reliquary. No one wants these gloves. It's catch up if they drop, given to anybody that doesn't have anything close to comparable. Elunite and Powered Bracers. I think you probably give these to Boomkin? Ellie?
The hit doesn't seem to jive with Ellie. Maybe Boomy's needed for a hit, but
yeah,
I'm sure there's probably a cloth piece they're more interested in.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Give it to your Boomkin. There's really nobody else that I imagine would. Grips of Damnation.
So these are interesting. These are very similar to the other gloves that are BIS for enhance. This is kind of just a enhanced ret piece. Enhance with Shaman first, and if a ret wants it for the haste, they can take it. It's really not a.
Yeah, I don't love these going to ret because of it being leather, and our rets are prone to dying a lot. But the rets can pick up the. What are they? These eventually, right? Do they want these? I don't know. Maybe not. I just know healing rets are on the ground a whole lot, and I'm tired.
I think
of it,
ret this is still Searing Grips, right?
Okay.
So if they don't have Searing Grips, they would pick something up, but ideally they get Searing Grips.
Okay, that's the Alar gloves.
Yep.
Boomkin, Ellie boots. I actually don't. Deary, do you know where these go first?
Nah. Just looking at them, they're not that bad though. I
see.
don't think they're that far behind Sea Collars, so maybe Sea Collar really is cloth only, and these go to your leather and mail users.
I don't think it's even on the list. Oh, they are. Yeah, it's just Boomkin. Because Boomkin. These are again one of those pieces that you don't want. You should be using your previous tier until you get 4-piece tier 6. Give it to whoever doesn't have anything comparable. It's just side grade catch up. Boneweave Brittle.
Yeah, so this is a piece that I think Hunter should just pick up. It's a transition piece. Like we've stated, you're gonna really want the hit early on. So this is that stopgap till you get that hit rating. You know, you can't expect to get you're probably gonna hit your tier 4 before you get your BIS hit pieces. Or I'm sorry, tier 6. So this is that piece that you put on so you can wear that.
I mean, it's statted well. There's no stam on it, but if you're a hunter, I guess you just don't need stam as much.
Yep.
Cool. Again, you give it to your holy paladins, but they want tier, so it's a side grade for them. I'll post my healer prio list with this, but where is this fucking crown of empowerment? I don't know if it's even on my list. ROS. It's garbage according to my list. These boots seem very good though.
That's a definitely a warrior prio boot.
Very good.
They're not. They're like Rets could use them, but I don't think they're Ret BIS. I think your warriors are gonna want this more than your Rets.
Yeah. You go Fury Arms first.
I mean, it feels like you always go Fury first on everything. This would be something potentially you could hit arms with, you know, and the crit's nice, 2 yellow sockets. I don't know if they'll need the hit, but I mean, sure, if they need the hit, you look into giving that to your arms warriors.
Okay. I think this is one of those items that if
it's not,
you give it to whichever warrior is not up for the big shit first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not huge, but it's a definitely nice item to get.
Translucent spell thread necklace, warlock, right?
Yeah, mages are never going to want this. Other classes maybe, but I think KT neck is honestly KT neck is still really good. So.
Yeah. Do you do warlock? I don't think Ellie want this. Boomkin maybe. I would probably go warlock first. Pendant of Titans.
I would hit the prop alley with this if they don't have the KT, the Verdant Sphere neck. I would hit them with this one. If they have it, it's probably equal prior for both the warrior and paladin.
Okay.
It's a minor upgrade over it.
Yep. Torch of Inspiration. Give this to whoever's not getting the Archimonde one first. It's worse than Archimonde. But it's Druid and the JC necks. Are you talking about the active JC necks? Yeah, so I guess you don't. You take that into account. I guess you give it to the warlock because the Shadowpriest, Boomkin, Ellie are wearing group buffing JC necks. That's a good point. Yeah, give this to whoever's not getting the Archimonde one first. But this item sucks. Torch of the Dam, Rep Pally Prio.
No, I think you want to hit your enhance, 2-hand enhance. I think Rets get too much gear this phase. Yeah, no, Rep Pally, this is big for them. I think our Ret got this on the PTR.
Yeah, yesterday.
He was clapping with it, so yeah.
Yeah. Nauri Blessed Life Rod, it's Priest. Nobody else wants this. Or can use it. Gorefiend.
So this is big, right? This is another, all these pieces are contested, super contested. So Shadow Moon's Destroyer's Drape. You don't hit your hunters. You hopefully gave your hunters Thalassian from KT. So kind of like everybody's up for grabs on this one. Rets will use a Cloak of Darkness. Warriors want this. Enhance and Rogues want this. So I would kind of look to see who's not up for many big items and kind of go there. I think if I had to, say who I would PRIO on this, I might just go with enhance right there. It's or rogue. It's really, I'd say, tied. It's really tough. Like, this one's tough because it's good for all of them. It's I don't know.
It's one of those things where you take into account.
Yeah, like, you got a warrior up for glaives, and it's just like, oh, he has a glaive now. Like,
yeah.
All right, throw this somewhere else. Bang for your buck. I think rogues will get the most DPS out of it, but I wouldn't. I'm not that. I don't do loot council of like strictly who's getting the most DPS, right? Like, who hasn't got gear? Like, what big items are we prioing to other people?
This guy Basher's saying that warrior has potential to replace next phase with the badge kit.
Yes.
So
yeah,
maybe...
Dory's Embrace. So that is Dory's Embrace will replace this. That's something to keep in mind.
Yeah. Thanks, Basher.
So probably rogue enhance, knowing that.
Cool. Seems pretty simple then. And then you just give it to the warriors after that.
Yep.
So I mean, we're gonna be doing BT for a long ass time, so.
Exactly. Like, you see how fast you gear up in, like, every tier. You get like blindsided by, oh, there's so much loot, so much to give out to people, but you gear up pretty quickly.
Rando Twitch chatter just sealed my fate. Okay, sorry, jocks. Kyle of Benevolence, another item you don't ever want to see. Priest should be wearing tier 5 or tier 6 and not this. Rose of the Shadow Council. Seems like, I mean, why is there spirit on this? I don't understand. Give it to your off-spec casters, like Holy Priest. Who cares? This can't be good, right? Vestments is definitely better. It looks exactly the same as the KT or the Archimonde one too. Like, why are you guys doing this? This is literally the same model. Insidious bands.
So this is pretty much between your hunters and your rogue. I think for this piece specifically, I would hit your BM hunters. I think they're going to need the hits transitioning. So it's kind of like they have to concede on items that don't have hit, like Shadow Masters, for items that do have hit. Sure. Just to kind of be fair. But I would go BM definitely on this. Overall rate DPS, it's hard to say who gets them. It's probably small between BM hunter and a rogue. But I think your rogue should be more than happy they're in the raid, right?
I have bands of Celestial Archer on my hunter, so I'd be excited to get these.
Yeah, that hits big.
I don't have the fucking Solarian ones never drop, so. Yeah. Well, how would you gem that? Orange?
I'd have to take a look. I don't really know exactly how I would gem this.
Okay.
Probably straight agi. Well, you get 2 agi off it, so maybe this would be the orange socket I would use.
Yeah. Because
you really, as a BM hunter, you only want 2 orange sockets. If I pull up my 70 upgrades, I could tell you how I gem this.
These gloves are Druid, Super Mega Druid Bis.
I yellow gemmed that, or orange gemmed.
You orange gemmed it, okay. And then again, you can go Shaman on these afterwards. Maybe I think Paladin want their tier, but again, the glove slot is the one Resto Shaman piece that they're using off pieces for. So, but this is Druid first, 100%. If you give it to a Shaman, you're griefing your Druid.
Yeah, it's a couple spell power better than the male version, but it's pretty minor.
Yeah. Soft step, boots of tracking.
So from what I gather, this is like, it could go between your enhancement shamans, or they may want Shadow Masters. I would hit your enhancements with these first, and then maybe hunters who still need hit or looking for a hit. And after that, I don't think anyone really cares, but I definitely PRIO enhancement shamans on these.
Cool. I love when it's like an easy enhancement shaman. Just give it to them. Nice.
Yep. There's enhancements.
Just see the story.
Yeah, enhancements this tier are like, they should be super happy. There's a lot of good upgrades that are super uncontested.
Yeah.
So it's like, everyone's looking for their tier pieces as like to wear. Well, enhancement doesn't wear any tier, so it's like they get a lot of free items. Plus, that the itemization this year kind of lends them to just be really uncontested on loot.
Very cool.
It's actually the same thing with Pro Warriors too. There's so many off pieces that drop that you should be bottom prio if getting tier at all for Warriors, for Pro Warriors specifically. Obviously, Fury's Arms went the tier. Gauntlet's Enforcement's probably the single biggest item you're going to pick up. Just the shit ton of expertise and block value and everything that's on it. It's just a phenomenal item.
Cool. I mean, it's an easy give. Because you do prop pally afterwards if they actually want it, but
I don't think they want it because they're going to want their 4 set for the consecration.
okay. So then, prop warriors,
the gloves.
Easy. This belt is the paladin equivalent of the other haste belts. It is. My list says it's not their bis, and that the one from Hyjal is. I think you just ask your paladin. I mean, there's only one person it's going to go to, so you give it to your paladin. But
yeah, so there's always these things about, because most of the bis lists for healers are based off of total throughput, which I'm not really a believer in, because lots of times like having more smaller heals is better given how classic damage works.
I guarantee you Lud will wear this over the Hyjal one because he's Snipe King. So
I think there are definitely people, and they might be correct, who will prefer haste over raw spell power. That's my personal opinion, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who use that.
Totem Ancestral Guidance. Congratulations, Ellie Shaman. It's your item. Soul Cleaver. It's just fun.
Maybe it could potentially be. Yeah, it's probably better for arms than Twin Blade. Well, no, because sword spec. So yeah, I don't even know. Maybe you're Ret if they don't have a weapon. So it's like
you give this to the warrior that's going to be going in with Lich King for Titan's Grip.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Sure.
Hopefully,
it's like that one from Nax, the one off of Gluth. I don't know. It's like, okay, it's a 2-hander that no one's going to use. Great.
It looks cool. You know, it's fucking big.
Twisted Blades of Zurak seem very good for rogues.
Yeah, so rogue. I think this is like second or third bis for rogues and warriors. I think they rather have, like, the warriors for sure want the gun out of it, or the bow out of SSC still, but this is like their third bis if they can get it.
Okay. Rogue has the Alar gun for hit. Okay.
Yeah, rogue uses Alar gun, so you should have the Alar gun. Warriors might not have the bow, but it's
give
not
it
bad.
to warriors.
PRIO warriors.
Mid gun.
Pretty crap.
Yeah,
mitigation.
Haunted Mother. Leggings of Devastation.
I don't know if anyone wants these. You really need hit. I don't think any casters need hit this bad.
Yeah.
To want this.
That's a bummer. It drops
so much hit. It's like outrageous amount of hit.
Yeah. Just catch up. Give it to whoever. S-Priest Prio? Yeah, maybe.
I think you probably would. Just.
I don't think anybody else wants it, so. These are best for like everybody?
Yeah, another super contested pair of boots here. So really the people on them are going to be your Rets, your Enhancement, Rogue, and Hunters. I personally would not go Hunter. I think there's too much hit, and you're asking a lot already to say, like, I need these items because it's, you know, I need the hit. So maybe because this piece doesn't have hit, you just kind of take a back seat on it.
Sure.
And I know, and you know, one thing we haven't said, and I, you know, player over class, but maybe you hit your Rets with this. It's not a huge piece. You like your Ret Pallies, you know, people in your guild you generally like, so I think you might hit them with this.
In the like giving every class like a prio on one contested thing. I think we've kind of decided Ret falls into that category for this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just you have one Ret Pally. This loot table isn't big, so hitting.
Yeah,
you know,
1/6 chance for it to drop every week.
Yeah.
Bear tanks also want these.
Yep.
But everybody wants them.
Yeah, so we discussed that. You know, depending on who your bear tank is, who your Red Pally is, you know, you decide between one of those. If you don't like either of those, or if you're a type of guild that just say fuck you support class, then you don't give this to either of those and probably just hit rogues and hunters.
Sure.
Maybe your bear tank, but I think it's a nice give for Red Pallies.
Shennis is saying the Den Mother boots are good too for bears, so maybe.
Yeah, we already talked about that.
Yeah. So there's
this is cat boots, and then the Den Mother are bear boots. So.
Yep.
This is just kind of like Kraken Heart. Just give it to
nothing.
Your
nothing.
warrior. If you can wear it, great. If not, no big deal.
Yeah, whoever wants it, kind of chest. I think the only really great ret piece is the tier 6. Well, one of the pieces they run is their tier 6 chest.
Yeah.
So it's like, it sucks that this isn't a bad piece and you could give it to them, but they'll have better.
I think this is one of those things where you.
But they'll be behind their prot and all the warlocks though on tier. So maybe you hit them with this at some point.
Okay.
Really.
You hit the ret with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be like one of the last people on their token.
Sure. Nadina's Pendant of Purity. This is like the only item in the entire phase where I couldn't decide if there's a clear class PRIO on. It seems like Paladin. Probably is Paladin. This is one of the harder. It's BIS for every class though. Every single healer wants this over anything else.
I wouldn't use it as a shaman. I would use the PvP neck if it's
use the PvP neck. Okay. Well, give this to your paladins first, and then you can decide from there.
Honestly, even a paladin, if they're a haste-oriented paladin, might use the PvP neck over this. The haste on the PvP
it's up to you guys. I mean, they may not want it. This is like a moderate upgrade. Most of the other stuff is minor or major. This is like the only one where I was kind of like, this is a moderate one because it is contested between some classes. I'll probably take this over the PvP one. Yeah, it's decent. You're happy if it drops because a lot of healers will want it. So, Prop Pally Relic, simple, Blade of Savagery.
This is going to be your rogue offhand until they get their glaive offhand. So you hit your rogue, and then I like this on my prot warriors.
Yeah,
it's fast,
absolutely.
So
This will be your best thread prot warrior, but you definitely want to hit the rogue first.
It looks cool too.
Maybe you get a glaive week 1, and then you can just hit your prot warrior right away with this, right?
True, but then you're just gonna char this every time, so you want to get some use out of it dropping.
So glaives go
again. It's 1 in
warriors.
6 too for this.
Yeah,
loot
glaives
table,
are always
so.
PRIO warriors. That's what I was told to say when I came here. It's 100% PRIO.
We're using world champ PRIO rules. Is that what's going on?
No, I like to PRIO the DPS warriors personally.
It's got this little glow too, which is kind of cool on it. Like a
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice offhand. Rogues, they don't get many offhand options before this, and finally something.
Yeah. All right. So now the big daddy loot.
Yeah, we're getting into the exciting stuff. Your stream numbers are climbing.
Cloak of the Illidari Council. You give this to casters who aren't getting the healing KT cloak or healing Illidan cloak.
Yeah.
Preview.
So, while we start talking about cloaks, also one of the big reasons to give casters the healing cloak is because you're not going to get enough of these to give to every single one of your casters, right? That's the big problem. Is just that, at the end of the phase, you're going to have like 6 of these and you need like 10. So that's one of the big reasons to help out with the healing cloak.
Yeah. The preview of the healing cloak discussion is I think that you give it to your casters because your healers shouldn't need the throughput to heal the phase, and DPS can always improve your stuff more. There's one caveat to that, but we'll talk about it. If a caster has this, they don't get the healing cloak. Straight up, you give it to a healer over that. But I'll say we'll get to it in a second. Belted Divine Guidance. This is not BIS, but it's good. Give it to your Holy Priest or your Druid if he doesn't have better. You don't want this to drop. Veil Chain Leaves. It's better than the current Druid one, but Druids want tier, so whatever. You're kind of bummed if it drops. Forest Prowler Solemn. I think it's the same thing. Hunters.
Well, I feel like you're starting to get into like spoilers a little bit. I think everyone is seeing like what's coming. I think for this one you go ret, you have a rep PRIO. Hunter Tears or Vengeful Gladhelm is absolutely amazing, right? You would wear that, in my opinion, over this. And I think every hunter who's out there who's playing Hunter this in Sunwell Black Temple needs to get, I think it's 1875 arena points, and pick up that helm while you wait for your Curse Visions. But this, I would go Ret's enhancements on this thing first.
Oh, is this enhancement bis and rep bis?
No, it's not bis of either.
Okay.
But, it's
just
like,
give it to them. Okay.
You give them that, and I'm preluding on who I think you should give, or who will be getting Curse Visions.
Sure,
first,
sure.
right? Like,
yeah, spoilers. Does go to hunters. Helm of the Illidari Shatterer. This is one of those things that you give to a warrior who's not getting Curse Visions anytime soon.
But it's absolutely an amazing helm, right? Like,
yeah, it's bonkers.
Yeah, it's a great helm. You shouldn't be upset receiving this piece. It's worse than Cursed Visions, but you're wearing a plate piece. You're one of the only classes that really want to wear this piece as a Fury Warrior. So why not just pick it up and help your raid?
I think in the transition early, like, it's great, but you do want 4-piece for.
I honestly think 4-piece versus this it's slight. Like, you could go either way.
Sure.
So if your guild thinks you're gonna get a Cursed Visions, like, you take this and you wait for the Cursed Visions, right? If your last PRIO on Cursed Visions, maybe you're like, well, I want to get my 4-piece sooner rather than later, right?
Sure. It's for somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
Madness.
So
we're at the big stuff.
So this is another one, right? So Madness, we got a few of these to drop. I tested it. It is a 1-proc PPM trinket, right? So it's not where everyone thought, earlier this month that it was going to be an absolutely insane trinket. It has to go to Warrior. So most sims had it correct. And that would mean that Tsunami Talisman is going to be better in most cases for a Warrior. So if you have DST Tsunami, you're probably sitting pretty. You don't need to worry about this trinket. If you don't have a DST Tsunami on a Warrior, I would say you probably get one of these before your Hunters. And it's not a bad enhancement trinket either. So I think Warrior PRIO, if they don't have a Tsunami Talisman, because it's about equal with that, and then you'd start hitting your Hunters or your enhancements.
This is better than Brooch?
I believe, it is better from what I've understood from the Shaman Discord. It is better than Brooch. So you would run this and DST.
And then the hit's really good for Hunters too for that.
Yeah, so that's
issue.
So getting this trinket allows you to do some fun stuff in ZA with, like, the Ring of Primal Wrath and other rings where you can drop the hit off your rings because you have this item. So definitely I'd hit my Warriors first that don't have
Tsunami Talisman.
Yep. DST. And then kind of between your Hunters and Shamans figure it out.
Cool. All right. And then Big Daddy Dan. Is it good for Feral Madness? I wouldn't give it to them first.
I wouldn't. No, it doesn't. It could be good, but it's not.
They're just their damage doesn't compare to the other classes that might be increased even further.
And the bleed. You got to consider a lot of the damage is bleed damage, and Madness isn't helping any of that damage.
And how much time is your Feral tanking versus DPSing, right? So it's like,
I think one of the biggest DPS increases you'll see on it is a Survival Hunter.
Interesting.
Like per raid damage, I think it's but they don't utilize the hit at all.
Yeah.
So they get all it's all that armor
wasted. Yeah. So Shroud of the Highborn, the healing haste cloak off Illidan. I know it says healing on it, and I know that people are gonna riot, but if you feel like your healers can handle healing the raid, which they can because they killed Illidan without this item, obviously, then why shouldn't it go to the DPS? I think if anyone else, if anyone has a bit more prio, it's the druid over any other class. But I think we're gonna give it's up to your guild and it's up to your healing lead, and they should talk to the casters. But I think we're gonna give it. It's on a per raid basis in our guild, but yeah, that doesn't matter to me, Wrath. As a healer, my goal is to support the rest of the raid. That's just like, I don't care about parsing. I don't care about any of the shit. I just want people to not die. And if I think I can get that done without this thing, then I'd rather go to somewhere who can make the fight shorter. You know what I mean? Your guild can decide how they want to do it, and there isn't a wrong answer, I think. I think you should go to druids first if you were going to do a healer prio, and then either shamans or priests. Probably shamans over priests, because you'll see in a second why. But we're gonna give it to the mages first in at least raid X, and then we're gonna start to talk about it after the mages get it. There's not a wrong answer here, and I don't think there shouldn't be a lot of anger about it, because it's just a cloak. Who gives a shit? But yeah, that's my dissertation on this stupid cloak. I take a lot of pride in not needing gear. You know what I mean? Like, I know La does that too, as much as he'll pass shit all the time, and it's like, whatever, as a healer, because I can get the job done without it. As a DPS, I want all the gear you can give me, but yeah, that's this cloak. It's mages over warlocks also for this. Sorry, warlocks.
I don't think that I understand why we're doing it, but for a general guild, I don't think there's a strong prio of mage versus warlock on this. I think it's basically, again, just put it on your pumpers, put it on your your best trash players, especially. Like haste is just a stat. Like, Illidari Council is not that far behind this for a single target, but again, on trash, the haste is just massive.
Okay. Yeah, trash is... People don't appreciate trash parsing enough, I think. Especially, I mean, speedrunners do, but it's harder to track otherwise. Cal Illidari High Lord.
Is that a mage item?
It's ugly as sin, that's for sure.
No. Mages wouldn't use this. Do any classes not use their tier? That would be the only one who'd use it. Maybe like an S-Priest or something, but mages would not use this.
Boomy, maybe. Who knows?
Holy Paladin trash damage.
Yeah. The problem is just all the casters use their tier, so it's just like there's only one off piece, and most of the best off pieces.
Yeah, you go Ellie Shaman. Even Ellie Shaman don't really want the hit, but I think they want their 4-piece also, right? Increases damage done by your lightning bolt. I think they want their 4-piece. So.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do.
So.
At least shamans want legs with it, so it might be just a really good item that rots.
Yeah, it's really good. Give it to
like, someone should take
anyone
it,
that
right?
it makes sense to give to, you know.
So this guy, right?
Cursed Vision.
So I watched Sar's video on this and not too long ago, and then some of the class discords really memeing on the guy for, I think, what he said about it. And I think one point he didn't make is, there was a sheet going around that said it was 15 DPS for a hunter, and with their second bis. Well, their second bis wasn't their second bis helm, but their second bis set. And that's the same way with the warriors, right? So their second bis wasn't their second bis helm, but their second bis set. I think this item, for that reason, if you look into it, you go hunter, because their second bis set now includes bow stitch legs. It includes that super contested neck that we looked at earlier, right? So you go Cursed Visions, do your hunter first, your BM hunter. They have to give up prio in other places, right? In my opinion, that's kind of how a guild should operate. You don't just stack one person unless it's Fury and Classic, right? It's changed a lot. I think you go on this item, you go your BM hunters, you go your enhancement shamans next. then you start looking between Rets and Furies, and then you go Rogue's absolute last. The Rogue tier 5 or tier 6 helm is pretty close to this, and everyone else kind of has an argument for this item. And
survival on it?
What was that?
Survival?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
You won't go survival on this. You'll go bow stitch to your survivals. So it takes, a lot of guilds run like 3 hunters, 1 survival, and 2 BMs. You would take your BMs off, bow stitched if you just practice straight to your BMs.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going BM with it. I think that was a good reason.
I think it's a way to get more loot out. Like so say you hit your enhancement shamans first, and would you then say, well, your BMs are your best single target in the raid, probably next to mages. On 6200 bosses, they clearly are your best single target. On more armor, and they'll scale into your best single target. They should, anyhow. So on more armor bosses, you got mages at the top, and on some of those lower armor bosses right now, you got hunters. So would you tell your best DPS class in a single target right now to sit behind the enhancement shamans on this, or take bow stitch before them? I think it just makes more sense just to hit them with this and then go shamans right after. I think shaman's reason for getting it is very valid too, but I just think you should just give this to your BMs, get it out of the way, and hopefully you don't run a lot of.
Well, I was gonna say, especially in our raids too, we don't run a ton of BMs, so
yeah,
it's not like you're asking them to wait in line. Some guilds it might be harder ask, because some guilds are running 3 BMs, and it's a harder ask.
Yeah, we run 1 BM, right?
But it's mostly 1 BM, 1 survival, and then like 1 fury, 1 arms. I think we want to push the fury towards 4-piece for loot distribution. There are some fury sets that have this included. I think we're all going to get it eventually. But
yeah, I mean, think about this. This point hasn't been brought up, but Black Temple has Warglades of Azeroth. Your guild should be running it from the day it releases till Wrath of Lich King pops, right? Like, you'll be in here. If you want it that bad, you'll eventually get it. You might not get it this tier, but
someone who's up for an item like this, that should be factored into their PRIO in the rest of the phase.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's this probably the most contested item this phase.
The other difficulty,
that or Stormrage Signet Ring, right? So we'll get to the Stormrage Signet Ring.
I think that the difficulty of this item for hunters is like, you want, if you get it, then you need to like get your 4-piece, your tier pants, your tier 5 pants, and put those on
tier 6,
tier 5. So you have tier 5 4-piece. Like if you get it early, I should say.
Oh yeah,
So you're rocking tier 5 4-piece, and then you're rocking that, and then so go ahead and pick up a pair of those while you can, if you think that you're going to be up for this soon.
Yeah, we saw 1 drop. I don't think it's an insane rare drop chance. This loot table, it's 2 items. It's not huge. It's not the biggest I've ever seen. I'm saying like 2 items drop, so you get 2 tokens, 2 items.
Yeah, so it's a 1/6 chance to drop. So
yeah, if everything's equal drop chance, right?
Okay.
And we saw a glaive drop on BTR, right? So we know glaive doesn't take a slot.
Yeah, that was nice. All right, you heard it here, Hunter. And
that's what
and it's Darth's video. All right, tanking helm.
Yeah, that's gonna go to your prop warrior first. You're gonna want to go into the prop paladin, but he's really not gonna wear it until Sunwell.
Okay.
He's gonna need to get his 4-piece. I mean, the 10% consecration damage, he's not gonna be able to drop that 4-piece. And if he's using the legs that we talked about before, he's not gonna use this.
Okay.
That's the only 2 options you really have for switching there.
You're gonna be very quickly sad if this drops.
Yeah. Why kill Illidan? Just Hearth out.
Yeah. Chenis is saying he's a prop ally main and you'll never wear this over tier, so there you go. You'll be sad. SSR.
So this is kind of like almost exactly reverse of what I said. Like if you just took what I listed for BM and flipped it, I think that makes the most sense for this item. So
it's a lot of hit.
it is a lot of hit, but you can find it other places, and even finding it other places, it's going to be like a 6 to 10 DPS difference, right? You just asked your guild essentially. Told them you need a Cursed Visions. I don't think you go and say, and I need an SSR. I know a lot of the BIS lists say, hey, you need, it's an item on the BIS list, but I think you have to give up something, and I think this is where you give it up as a BM hunter.
Yeah.
That being said, this is game BIS, in my opinion, for Fury Warrior. Are they first on it? It's really good for rogues too. They might not be first, but they might be equal PRIO with your rogues. So it would be like a Fury rogue item. If you look at and see what happens to Furies and Sunwell and their hit rating, it's like they don't get any.
Yeah.
So this will probably be an item they're going to use in a Sunwell. And I feel like taking this as a BM hunter or survival hunter. Survival is probably not interested at all, but it's just griefing, right? It's a small DPS. It's actually pretty small DPS upgrade for Furies too right now, but the itemization it opens up, I think you want to give it to them.
Sure.
So, and after them, you hit the enhance, and if you're lucky enough as a BM to see enough of them, then yeah, maybe you could get one.
It's nice that Illidan has two things that kind of have reverse PRIO for physical. It just kind of feels balanced, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Skull Gul'dan, Warlocks.
We all know what this is. PvP Priest.
Yeah,
PvP
I
Priest,
do
right?
want this on my Holy Priest for PvP. I think it'll be really good for 5s. But I will
Let's stop talking
I
about
will get it dead last.
So I think it's funny because this item generates a ton of drama when I think it is extremely clear that this should go to your Warlocks. If you're a mage and you take this, you're just griefing your raid.
The hit's wasted, right?
straight
Like
up.
you have no reason to take the hit.
It's
I mean,
technically not wasted in tier 6, but I still do think that it's a straight up grief to take this.
There's 3-ish Warlocks a raid. We're gonna have all 3 of them will have it by the end of the tier.
Yeah, the only question is who do you give it to after your Warlocks? Because mages, it's not the best itemized item, but S priests and LE shamans are breakpoint based, right?
Yeah.
So having a haste active is not really what they want to do with their breakpoints. And boomkins, you could give it to your boomkin. That I think that's an option, but also it feels a little weak on a boomkin, right? So after your Warlocks, I think you give it to your boomkin or your mage. But it should 100% go to your Warlocks first. You would have to have, like, to give it to a mage before a Warlock, it would have to be a horrendously bad Warlock.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a Warlock who AFKs the entire raid, don't give it to them. But this should be Warlock.
I mean, it's player over class, but it's class.
Yeah, Warlock. It's like you really have to be a shit Warlock,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like-
you'd have to be really bad for me to consider giving this to a mage over a Warlock. It is technically Mage Bis, but not by that.
Sure. It's Holy Priest Bis too. Cool. Memento of Tyrondi. This is actually not good.
Really now.
It's not. I should say it's not great. It's actually one of the lowest upgrades of the tier. It looks really good for like just looking at it, right? Like 118 healing's bonkers. The proc is really nice. I think the only class that would clearly use it is Holy Paladin. And then from then on, you just talk to your healers and figure out who wants it.
People love trinkets too. I feel like there's gonna be drama around madness.
Sure, people love
when it's
trinkets.
you
Trinkets
lay
and
it out
weapons,
as,
right?
like,
And
hey, it's not that great, and people are still gonna be like, I need it.
Like I remember really wanting this back in the day. I wanted this and the mace, and I was like, and thought that they were about equal in terms of goodness. And the on-use trinket, the bad trinket, or the Diabrew hops, or even the Scarab of the Infinite Cycle for shamans are all really, really good as a second trinket.
The main reason I'd want this as a shaman, to be honest, is just laziness. I don't have to manage.
And
extra
laziness is
trinkets.
not to be discounted, right? Like I don't love on-use trinkets because I always forget to pop them because I'm never I don't often have the forethought of, oh, here comes a bunch of damage. Let me increase my healing spells by 10 each, right? Like, it doesn't seem that impactful. But the on-use trinkets do sim higher plus healing over the amount of time that the cooldown takes, right? If you factor it all in. So I would give this to your Holy Paladins first, kind of like foot down Holy Paladins over anybody. I give this to your Resto Druids last. It's really bad for them. They like the on-use stuff.
Well, they just also have infinite mana.
Yeah,
so
and they have infinite mana. Your Holy Priests, I would probably run this eventually. I'll be like last for it. I don't give a shit. It's fine. It'll be nice in speedruns to have it and not to have to think about it. Just have it proccing and that'll be nice, right? I would run this and I have Gruul if I had to choose. But yeah, Memento of Tyron. Okay, so what did I say? Holy Paladin, maybe Resto Shaman, then Holy Priest, then Resto Druid. Shard of Azanoth, I think it's just kind of a meme weapon. You're sad if it drops. It's cool, but the one time it procs, it's cool, and then you're bored. Anything else on this?
I mean, yeah, it's just nothing to get excited over.
Okay. DTAIN, are you still there? I don't know if you left.
No, I'm saying.
Okay.
He wants to say what he has to say about Bulwark of Azanoth.
Yeah, you want to skip to Bulwark and then you can go if you have to.
Oh, I gotta get work latest. It's PRIO.
Oh, you gotta get to work.
But beyond that, I mean, Bulwark.
Okay. Crystal Spire. Okay. This should be play over class, but that notwithstanding, should be Holy Priest and then Resto Shaman and then Holy Paladin and then dead last is Resto Druid. I have a bunch of math that the guys in the Priest Discord did to talk about why the proc is most effective for Holy Priests. But Circle of Healing gets a lot of added value from that proc, and then Chain Heal, and then Holy Paladin only have single target heals and blah blah blah. So it sucks that it's so clear, because it'd be nice to give this to somebody who deserved it if it's not your Holy Priest, but it's really really good for your Holy Priest. So
I would consider if there was a very big skill discrepancy between a shaman and a priest, I would consider giving it to a shaman.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's best used by Chain Heal, but the auto targeting of Chain Heal, or sorry, best used by Circle, but the auto targeting of Chain Heal makes it better than it looks, even though it's 3 versus 5 targets.
I agree.
Auto targeting is a pretty big deal because it means that it's always going to be hitting the low health ones as a PRIO automatically.
Yeah.
But I do think in a kind of an ideal situation, your priest should be able to make the most use of that proc.
The math is here. If you're interested, sorry to blow up your screen. But we did the math and yeah, that's kind of where
but it all
we're at.
depends on the amount of times you're getting hits with those, right? And that is a little bit rated and player dependent.
Yeah, totally. Lanello S Priest hit a Google Doc. I don't know what that says, but I'm gonna look later. Okay, so yeah, Holy Priests, Resto Shamans, Holy Priest a little bit over Resto Shaman. Then you really want to give this to all of your Resto Shamans because those two classes are miles above your Holy Paladin and your Druid. Lanel is a S Priest God. I don't know what it says, but I'll look at it after we're done. We're almost done. I'm gonna let these guys go. Zardoom. The thing.
So as I said before, I think this is pretty much straight player PRIO. Some guilds I know will give this to their S Priest because S Priest will make a lot of noise about breakpoints. I will tell you 100%, giving this to a mage or a warlock will still increase their damage more than an S Priest getting the breakpoint, right? Like S Priest baseline damage just isn't high enough, and S Priests do very poor AoE damage that it's going to be better raid DPS to give this to an actual DPS caster. Of course, you know, you got to keep people happy. S-Priest gets shit gear. You know, the only other real options in this tier are like the Trash Mace or what they really want is the PvP weapon. The PvP weapon is going to be S-Priest besides this. But, you know.
The one mitigating factor with what you're saying is like Shadow Priest gets shit on so often. And it's nice.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, it's nice to give them, you know, an olive branch. If you have a really nice Shadow Priest who's been with you forever and he's solid as fuck and he's there 100% of the time, give us to him. And that's just one thing of the expansion, right? Like that's this that you got first Zardoom. Grats, dude.
Yeah, don't talk, you know.
But yeah, from a raid DPS standpoint, though, this should go on a Warlock or a Mage. Whether you give it to a Warlock or a Mage, you should pretty much just give it to your best player. There is some considerations because one person getting first Skull and first Zardoom is a little bit, let's say, Corrupt Loot Council-ish.
Sure.
But so maybe you want to give this a little bit more to your Mages because they're less like they're not going to get Skulls or whatever. But from a raid DPS standpoint, it should go to them. From a keeping everyone happy standpoint, I can definitely understand it going to an S-Priest. It should not go to anyone else.
Sure. Cool.
You said Major S-Priest?
No, Major Warlock.
Oh, okay.
From a raid DPS standpoint, it is 100% going to be the best on a Major Warlock.
Yeah. I don't know what we're planning on doing with it. I could look, but I don't want to give away the secrets. But from a strict what is it best for standpoint, yeah. Linello doesn't agree, but we're gonna move on.
I do think there was from some of the document. I mean, I'm physical, I don't know, but something I read was saying like pure raid DPS, like you get more value out of it from. And I don't know the exact sim. Like, was it just like tier 5 bis?
No, it's because. So Linella's point is because people are focusing on single target sims. If you look at just single target sims, it will probably be best on an S-Priest if you're considering their all-in value. But the raid is not single target, and there's a lot of AoE in the raid, and the value of this on S-Priest on AoE is going to be minuscule. Like, this will barely be noticeable in terms of raid DPS on an S-Priest for AoE, but it will be a big upgrade over TOC for AoE. So that's the difference.
No, and I agree with that, and that's how we kind of PRIO loot in the raids.
If you just cared about single target DPS, I would say give it to the S-Priest 100%. But single target is a relatively small portion of the raid.
How does Boomkin and Ellie Shaman factor into this?
I don't really know, to be honest, because I don't know how breakpoints work for Ellie Shamans. But again, it's kind of just like maybe you throw them a bone because they're a support class, but their baseline DPS and their trash performance is just orders of magnitude worse than a Major Warlock. Yeah. So it's really hard for me because if you look at the stats on this item, this is an AoE item, right? Crit and haste are your best AoE stats, and they're also the only stats that get over AoE cap. Highjaw is a raid with a ton of AoE cap stuff. Yeah. BT is also going to be a raid with a ton of AoE trash. Yeah. So it's going to be, so if you care about trash DPS, this should go on your trash pumpers. Sure. And those are always Warlocks and Mages. In our guild especially, we prioritize trash a lot of the time because that's where we can make up most time. The faster trash dies, the faster you're moving on to the next pack, the faster your whole run is, the faster you can go to bed. You know what I mean? And so I'm kind of the opinion that it goes to the Warlocks first, but we'll see what happens. I think mages get a bunch of shit in tier 5, right? Or phase 5? Not really. Mages their PRIO is basically behind Warlocks on everything for the rest of the game. Right. You had your time in the sun, and now you're slowly honestly, fading into obscurity. One of the reasons you bring mages is because they help your loot PRIO. Because besides a couple of these big items, a lot of their loot does not overlap a lot with other classes, right? Like mages don't take any tier really until tier 6. They'll take a couple of off-piece tiers, but not a lot. In Sunwell, in tier 6, they take one piece of tier and they're done, and they leave the tier free for your druids and for your rogues. They don't take a lot of the, like, in Sunwell, their bis pieces don't overlap a ton with Warlocks. But yeah, I mean, this is, Zardoom's just huge for everyone. It's just so much haste. Cool. Well, let's hope we get a bunch. And I do think you know, my prediction personally is that mages will still be topping overall DPS in BT.
I hope that's
whether
true.
People agree with that or
Truly
not.
hope that's true.
But and they'll 100% be topping Hydro.
I feel like our mages specifically are some of the best mages in the game. So we'll see what happens. Excited. Bulwark. Yeah, Warlock scaling, right.
Bulwark's obviously the best shield. You're going to want every shield tank to have it. I would say whoever didn't get the Hardened Heart, if that dropped first, to give this to them. Prior either one of those two to your main tank, whatever that may be, and the other one to the other one, but you want them both to have
sure.
Bulwark eventually.
Not a lot of discussion.
It's the best looking shield by far.
I mean, people still transmog this all day. Black Bow. We think it's going to be a good speedrun bow, right?
Yeah. So Black Bow, I would still say whoever doesn't have a bow from tier 5, you would hit them first. If you have the bows, if everyone has a bow from tier 5, just hit your survival hunter, in my opinion, on this one, and let your BM hunters pump with the other.
Yeah.
But I think hopefully you're not like 5 hunters in a raid, maybe 2 to 3. You could potentially get both bows on both hunters. Sure. Or both bows on all your hunters, because I think there is value in Black Bow for speed running and all kinds of stuff. So
just to go back, Chinese is saying that Paladins want the shield from Archimonde.
For the threat one, yeah.
Yeah, pure threat.
You're talking about the spell, super spell, but this is like a pure defensive shield.
The game is freaking out.
Might be a PT or something.
I'm gonna drop, guys, by the way.
Luck with okay, thanks. Yeah, thank you, dearie. I appreciate it. Good hanging out.
Yep, see you guys.
All right, Glaives. Player over class, straight up player over class. That's the only thing to say. But if you were gonna say anything more, I think it goes to the Warriors. And that's it. That's all. I think that's all you talk about, Glaives. But player over class. Like 80% of the decisions should be player over class. 20% could be.
It's a legendary too, right? So it's not. You say player over class, and it might not even be considering like your players are better. I mean, if you had a rogue that was with you day one, and a warrior that just joined 2 months ago, that's like outstanding, and he's just a better player, and it should get a warrior. Like, no one would be upset if you priored that rogue. Now, if it was like the GM was a rogue and he's a prick and he just took those, maybe you get upset. But I think what Aga initially said was correct, right? You want to hit your Furies if you can, but player over class, and it doesn't. You wouldn't cry if you don't get it, if a rogue gets it before you, right? Like it will happen.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen to plenty of people.
Keep an eye out for people quitting after they get these. That's probably pretty common. They'll be like, what's the fucking point? I got Glaives, I'm done.
Or this is like a ticket into a guild, right? Like we saw it a lot with DST. Like people would, it's like, how did we only had like 2 DSTs in the guild, and then we had like 50 DST apps. It's just like, holy shit, or were we that bad, bad of luck that we just can't get DST?
Yeah, if you're trying to get into a better guild, getting Glaives first is a good way to do it. I know how shitty that sounds. If you're saving a lot of gold, GDKP would be a good way to go and get them. I mean, they're Glaives. They're game best for Warriors and Rogues. We have 6+ raids, and I think we have a pretty even distribution of where the Glaives are going between Rogue and Warrior. I don't know what the discussions are not over, but the preliminary discussions are kind of leaning that way. And just give it to someone who's...
I don't think that's across our raids either. We run 6 raids, and I think it's going to be pretty evenly split between our Rogues and Warriors.
Do I take PvP into account for Glaives? Not really. No. We're a PvE guild for the most part, so yeah, just give it to someone who's not going to quit. Give it to someone who you like playing with. Give it to someone who pumps. There's probably at least one of those people between 2 Warriors and a Rogue. But if none of that was a factor, I would say Fury Warriors probably get better bang for their buck with these. Just make sure that
overall raid DPS.
Yeah.
Definitely goes Fury.
When you start accounting for trash damage, definitely.
Yeah.
But the unique scenarios that do pop up is like offhand glaive. You know, is that like what if you get an offhand? Do you just go to your Fury?
Yeah. One thing we were discussing is like if the offhand drops first, you give it to the Fury, right? And
no, it's
or
like
you give
if
it
the
to the
offhand
rogue.
Yeah.
What was it? I can't remember.
If offhand drops first, you give it to the rogue.
Yeah, and then the rogue gets the main hand. If the main hand drops, you give it to the Fury, and then the Fury gets the offhand. I don't think that's what we're gonna do. It might be. We still have to.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
It was a thought, right? Like,
yeah, it's not a bad way to do it if you can't decide.
Leave it to fate that way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I think.
You want to talk tier PRIO, or you have?
Oh, sure. Tier PRIO, we'll just do off this.
Some are super easy, right?
Yeah.
So like that one, Paladin, Warlock.
It's all
Right.
Warlock. Warlock.
Yeah. Well, you hit your prot.
Oh, you
Yeah,
do prop
the prop
pally
ally.
first.
You hit your prot. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you go Warlock.
Okay, so yeah, you do prop pally and then Warlock. Priest dead last. Holy Priest don't want to even wear tier until Chalks is like, okay, Sudoku time. You don't want to wear your tier until you get all 4 pieces. Shadow Priest, I think, definitely do want their set, but obviously they're not going to get as much mileage out of it because Warlocks didn't get any tier last phase, so they should really get their tier. It also looks cool as shit. All right, what else?
So the next token, this token is probably the worst token. So if you want to skip it and then come back
Welcome
to
back,
it.
yeah.
So this is an easy token too, right? Mages are hooked up last tier. They have their tier 5. And I know that Dari left, and you know I'm gonna shit on casters. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, mages don't need it really. They're gonna be running their tier 5. It has that huge bonus.
Yeah.
They might get some of the pieces late, but really it's between your feral and your rogue that you want to hit first. And I think you hit your rogue. I just looking at it, the damage the rogue gains from it, both the 2-piece and the 4-piece are absolutely amazing on a rogue. You hit your rogue, and you know they'll start. Their rogues are going to start catching up on single target, and this is part of it is because of this 4-piece and this 2-piece.
Dan Wraith says feral tank first. I think
If
we
you cleared the
personally are
content,
pretty happy with our
yeah.
feral tank situation, and we like to prioritize DPS.
You just cleared the call. You cleared him first week. You know, if you're not having issues, then you just hit your DPS.
I mean, the
It just
feral's
goes
not
quick.
even wearing his tier on the last boss, right? Like Illidan's wearing, he's wearing fire res, right? You do rogue, then you do feral. I mean, it'll be 3 weeks before the feral's
Oh yeah,
kitted
it's
out, right?
super quick, right? So
It's not like you're running a ton of rogues.
yeah,
Probably.
it's one rogue, one feral. It's like flip a coin if you really care, but I think you just
If the
I think
rogue's
you-
up for glaives, maybe give it to the feral, you know. But
yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is not in a vacuum. You have to take all the other loot prio and the entire instance into account. But I know we personally, so long as the tanks and the healers can handle the content, which we generally can, we've prioritized DPS. Not all of our raids do it like that, but a lot of raids do. All right, so mages don't want it. Resto Druids
think
do
they
want
might-
it. Resto Druids are the very bottom. They want 4-piece. No, they don't. They want 2-piece. What do they want? There's a... Druids want helm, shoulder, chest. So yeah. The Conqueror token is prop pallies first, and then warlocks, and then shadow priests, and then holy priests, and then holy paladins. They're all mixed up. Do Rets want tier? I don't think they do. For the most part.
No, they take shoulders, or it's I think it's shoulders, chest. I know it's chest for sure, but
Okay.
they don't really. They're not super high on tier.
Okay. And then Protector.
So this is a tough one, right? So the Resto, Ellie, Hunter, Warrior all have valid claims to it. I think throughput, pure throughput, you go Hunter, Warrior, Ellie, Resto. More of a fair way, knowing Hunters are up for like big items like Curse Visions or something, you might do Warrior 2-piece into a Hunter 4-piece into like your Ellie 4-piece, and Warriors could wear the non-set helm, non-set gloves, non-set pants, so they would wear like shoulders, chest. So you do it that way. You could just go Warrior 4-piece and then Hunter 4-piece. But I think your DPS Hunters and Warriors should go first, followed by your Resto Shamans. Or I'm sorry, potentially followed by your Resto Shamans into your Ellie Shamans. I think it's a mix between one of those two. I don't think either cares too much about the PRIO on it, like who gets it first. I just know it's big for both of them.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the Ellie piece, like it's absolutely insane. Like, and then
the Hunter tier definitely is like hard to transition to. Like we've been talking about that because it has zero hit. So not getting it first is okay because they're gonna try to pick up some other hit pieces and then.
You should have the hit to transition to it. Or within like 3 to 4 weeks, you should have the hit to transition to it.
Yeah.
So not going first on it's okay, and like passing it over to the BMs or something, or not the BMs. I'm sorry, the survivals and the Warriors first as a BM. But I don't think I know a lot of guilds have been, or a lot of people have said, oh, you had prior Resto Shamans. I don't think you do. I don't.
This guy Nomad saying that survival can swap straight into the 2-piece. BM's got the hit issues, so.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
But you might do that for just running a spec that's not as good as another spec, right? But as far as throughput goes, I think BM's probably gonna be your best throughput for it.
Sure. Okay. Cool.
I think that's it. Did we cover it all?
I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
This was a good primer for all this.
Yeah, and I'm sure shit changes, right? Like as gear drops and you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, it's not gonna go the way you want, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so you're gonna end up like if you said, hey, everything that was prior to that certain class gets it first. Well, then they're gonna look at like you're gonna see this guy in like full Abyss in like week 4,
Sure.
and then like nobody else has loot.
Sure.
So, I mean, maybe you get like just Curse Vision after Curse Vision, and it's like, okay, let's spread them out, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a big part of spreading out too. You want to give incentive to everyone. You got to dingle the carrot a little bit.
Yeah. This is stuff that we've been doing for years now, so I think don't be corrupt, don't be a dickhead.
Be corrupt, be a dickhead, or don't end
Or
up
be.
with a badge of Swarm Guard.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Hans, DTAIN. Appreciate it.
Yep. Talk to you later, man.
Yep. Later.
All right. So that's that. Thanks everyone for being here. I think I'm gonna skip the PTR tonight. We've been doing a lot lately, so I thought that was a good thing to get done. I'll post this in a bit. If you have any questions, feel free to hop in the Discord and ask them. Here it is. Nice content, do more. Thanks, Jocks. And thanks for stopping by. It was fun. It's fun to have like all the classes represented and discussing it, rather than just kind of like 1 or 2 points of view, I feel like. Yeah. If you haven't followed, toss a follow. Or a Prime sub would be cool. Those are free if you're a Prime member. I didn't have all the classes represented. Sorry, La. Mage PRIO and everything. Yeah, that's fine. No, Matt, thanks, man. Yeah, we're gonna be doing more PTR in the next couple days, and then we're definitely gonna be pushing for. Fucking Pies has got the coffee pasta. We're gonna be pushing for a high world ranking for. Thank you, Jocks. Gotta give love the sub. We're pushing for a high placement for our first BT Hydro all clear, so going out for that. All right, I'm out. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.